Well, 2 anthems, given plenty. One of the most polished anthems I've actually ever heard in a production sense from a cricketing ground, but Ireland's call very much given the full treatment. The players will make their way back off. The umpires are out there. It's going to be Rolly Black and Martin Saggers on duty standing in this one. Paul Reynolds is on TV replays should they be needed. And Phil Whittercase is the match referee for these 2 games. So Ireland are just going to get themselves into one final huddle. And then the South African batsmen will be with us. South Africa winning the toss and batting. Let me give you the teams once again, starting with Ireland, as it's their home game. Andy Balbirnie, Paul Stirling, Lorcan Tucker, Harry Tector, George Dockrell, Curtis Campher, Gareth Delaney, Andy McBride, Mark Adair, Barry McCarthy and Josh Little. For South Africa, it is Quinton de Kock, Riza Hendricks, Rassie van der Dussen, Aiden Markram, Heinrich Klaassen, Tristan Stubbs, Wayne Parnell, Dwayne Pretorius, Keshav Maharaj, Lungi Ngidi and Tabrains Shamsi. So those are the players on duty. On duty in the commentary box for the first stint, well, the former Ireland seamer Tim Murtagh is going to be alongside our very own Neil Manthorpe.
Thank you, Andrew McKenna. Seamer? Tim, he called you a seamer. All-rounder?
Yeah, it's a
very slight bit away. No, away.
Seamer.
Medium pacer.
That's your middle there, yeah.
And we often have this debate with Jared Kimber about what constitutes an all-rounder. See, I like to include really effective lower-order hitters. And so I like... They're all-rounders to me. If somebody can hit 4s and 6s and make a bright and useful 30 batting at number 8, I squeeze them into the all-rounder category, whereas Jared has got much tighter criteria.
He's just giving you a filthy look there, hasn't he?
Yeah, totally, completely filthy. I am prepared to admit when people fall out of that category, like Tim Southey, which always makes Jared laugh when I call him an all-rounder. But you are an all-rounder in my eyes, Tim.
That's very kind of you. I'm not sure I can agree with you anymore, but maybe a few years ago.
Okay, on strike is Quinton de Kock. The first delivery from Mark Adair is down the leg side. He'll have to bowl that one again. It's quite a long way down the leg side, actually, but Lorcan Tucker moves nicely, uses his feet well, takes it without even considering the drive. There was plenty of speculation and I have to say, informed speculation a month ago, before South Africa even arrived in the country, that Quinton de Kock would miss these 2 games. That's good delivery. That was as good as the previous one was rusty. That has the angle has taken it past the outside edge, but I think it might even have moved a bit as well, didn't it?
Yeah, he's a pretty skillful bowler, Mark Adair. He looks to sort of try and slant that ball across the left-handers, which he's done there to de Kock. Quite nicely, and he generally is an outswing bowler to a right-hander, so he'll be looking to try and cramp Quinton de Kock up, not give him too much room.
Adair in once more. It's again leg side, and this time de Kock clips it nicely off his pads. Josh Little's in pursuit from short fine leg and picks it up 10-15 yards inside the boundary, and they've gone through for a couple. So the speculation was that Quinton de Kock would miss or be released from these 2 games in order to be available for the start of the 100, but he summed up his own series against England, which preceded this, with a nice Instagram post which said that he'd awarded himself the Thanks for Coming, the TFC award, because he didn't do anything. But you can never give the TFC award to a wicketkeeper. That's clipped away again off his pads for another couple by de Kock out towards deep backward square leg as Adair goes a little bit too straight. For those of you who aren't aware, the TFC award is usually goes to, always is. It's not always presented, and it's not an official award, obviously, but it goes to the player who's contributed least. Somebody who didn't take a catch, didn't score a run, didn't have a bowl. That can happen in this wonderful game. That's clipped away by Hendricks defensively up towards mid-on, straight to Barry McCarthy and at mid-on, and there is no run. So perhaps that's the reason de Kock thought, you know what, the Southern Brave might be better off if I actually have a couple of games against Ireland.
It's kind of one of those situations where you kind of beware Ireland, you know, haven't had such a quiet series against England. As you say, be looking to get himself into a bit of nick.
Hendricks pushes one out towards the covers, fielded by Captain Andy Balbirnie, and they scramble through for a quick single.
Pretty sure the Irish lads would have wanted him to be playing for the Southern Brave rather than against them tonight. You know, he's a world-class player and he's scored runs in all conditions, and as you say, I'm sure he'll be looking in this series to notch up a couple of scores before he does go off to the 100.
I must say, thanks to talkSPORT's rights arrangement with Cricket Ireland, we've done just about every game Ireland have played here. De Kock clips this one out towards Curtis Campher out of deep mid-wicket, and they go through for another couple. So it was just a quiet, conservative start from Quinton de Kock and Riza Hendricks, and very often in the past when it's a big team against a so-called small team, we felt duty bound to say, well, a surprise can always happen. It's you know, nothing's predictable in this wonderful game of cricket. But having seen Ireland play, having seen them come within 4 runs of beating India in the T20 international, I really believe that you know, that they might have lost their last 5 T20 internationals, but and this is a very, very good, accomplished Ireland side, and I think they could cause an upset today.
Yeah, I think so. As we've spoken about before, they've come so close in a few games recently. They'll be looking to sort of go that one step further, whether that's, you know, some of their senior players perhaps sticking their hand up a little bit more. You know, Harry Tector's probably carried the batting in those games. Paul Stirling perhaps, you know, hasn't quite scored the hundreds that he likes to do. So, you know, watch out especially for him tonight. He enjoys playing on this ground, that is for sure.
Andy McBride for new ball, and Riza Hendricks clips it out towards long on. They go through for an easy single. How often has Andy McBride opened the bowling with his off breaks?
Yeah, he's done it quite a bit, to be honest, in the games that I played a few years ago, especially if there was a left-hander at the top of the order, which, you know, South Africa have with the Kock. So it is a tactic that they've used and something that he's pretty used to. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes against the Kock. As I said earlier, they won't want to give him any width here. I think McBride would be trying to spear the ball in, probably from quite wide of the crease in towards that middle stump, and not give the Kock the ability to free his arms up.
McBride in once again. De Kock forward, plays it defensively straight back to the bowler. That was very much a resolute defensive block from Quinton de Kock. He wasn't working that anywhere. Just going to make sure that the matchup doesn't work first ball. He give himself one delivery just to clip it away, and this time he takes a single off the second ball, clips it out towards Paul Stirling at mid-wicket. He's running in to pick up and underarm it back to the bowler. South Africa winning the toss, choosing to bat first in the first of 2 one-day internationals. 2 T20 internationals being played at the county ground in Bristol. South Africa on the back of a 2-1 series win against England. Ireland have lost their last 6 T20 internationals, and that one is clipped defensively by Hendricks out towards mid-on. He too giving himself a couple of deliveries just to see whether there is pronounced turn or indeed any turn. McBride once again spins the ball from his left hand to his right. A little bit of width outside the off stump. Cut to Stirling at backward point, straight to him on the second bounce. And another dot ball.
It's been a good over so far, hasn't it? He's sort of mixed up his pace a little bit. Probably not looking to spin too many. Punched off the back foot, Hendricks onto the front foot, then rocks onto the back foot when he picks up the change of length, and Harry Tector fields at a deepish mid-on the edge of the circle. 2 overs gone, South Africa winning the toss and batting first, 10 without loss. Alongside me, Tim Murtagh played, I didn't make a note of this now, 15 T20 internationals, 58 one-day internationals, and 3 test matches. Did I get those numbers right off the top of my head? You can't remember? I can't remember. It's probably 15 T20 matches too many, to be honest. No, I enjoyed my time with the Irish boys. I've said before, you know, they're a great bunch of lads. Gave me an opportunity to play some international cricket right sort of at the twilight of my career. So, really great place to go, great people, as I'm sure you guys have experienced going over there. And it's just, you know, that's been a nice start from McBride there. I think he's a pretty canny little off spinner, you know. He doesn't look too much, but nice to see Josh Little in the attack now as well.
Left arm variety, oh dear, first delivery is very wide outside the off stump. That one almost looked like it slipped, and it's taken in front of first slip, Paul Stirling, by Lorcan Tucker. So fairly straightforward decision for Martin Saggers to make there, standing in his 12th T20 international. So I remember, Tim Murtagh, you the excitement and anticipation of your appearance at the 2015 World Cup, and then of course you were injured. Oh, that slap driven over extra cover for 6. That would have been a wide had he left it, Riza Hendricks, but he's decided to go after it, and very short straight boundaries, shortish square as well actually, but that's gone into the pocket over deep extra cover for 6.
That's a glorious shot. He's obviously a man in form. He's, I think, scored 3 half centuries today in the England series. He's scored a lot of runs in that series, and that's a shot of a man. Almost cleaned up the bloke there, sweeping up the floor behind the stand as well. Yeah, cracking shot.
He did score 3 half centuries. Oh, same delivery, same shot. This time it bounces once over extra cover for 4.
It's not been great bowling so far. After speaking up Josh Little, he's bowled 3, you know, as you say, probably would have been a wide again out there. I'm not quite sure if this is the tactic or if he hasn't quite got his execution right. They do have a deep cover, so maybe they are trying to stay away from the leg stump of Hendricks, but yeah, he's just allowing him the opportunity to throw his hands through the ball at the moment.
So I'll complete my statement stroke question after this delivery about your World Cup non-appearance. Drive and a miss here. Little straightens it up, gets the angle just right. Hendricks has a firm push at this one and misses, and it's into the gloves of Lorcan Tucker. So you missed the 2015 World Cup, and I remember the view was that, well, good job there's a T20 World Cup a year later in 2016, so you will get your World Cup appearance, and then you retired from the format before you could get there.
Yeah, the 2015 one was a disappointing one. That's probably the only regret.
Oh, too much width again, and he gets away with it, unless he claims that he was deliberately bowling that one to be hit to the cover sweeper.
Yeah, the only probably real regret of my career, missing out on that tournament. Managed to break my foot playing touch rugby in warm-ups, which was interesting. Sort of back in those days, we'd play touch rugby before each training session, and I just tried to do one of my famous side steps. Heard a crack in my foot and thought, oh, that's not great, knowing that the World Cup was, you know, only 2 weeks away.
De Kock now forced onto the back foot by a back of an length delivery from Josh Little, and he steers it to backward point where McBride fields, and they take a single.
Yeah, so did everything I could to try and get myself fit for that. I spent hours and hours in oxygen chambers in London to sort of in a bid to try and get myself fit for that, but ultimately proved, you know, fruitless, and unfortunately missed out on 6 weeks in Australia and New Zealand, which would have been nice.
2.5 overs gone, and steered out away out towards backward point, and fielded by George Dockrell with another single. So to say that South Africa have fairly cautious for the first 3 overs. I don't think it was a very good over from Andy McBride of off spin, but I think De Kock and Hendricks are just taking their time. 3 more overs to go inside the power play. So just for those listeners who aren't aware, if you want to try and speed up the process of healing a fracture in the bone, then that's what you do. You spend time in it's like a decompression chamber, isn't it? Or is it the opposite of a decompression chamber?
Yeah, it is. It's a strange experience. It's in this sort of big canister in a the Wellington Hospital in London.
Canister.
Well, canister's probably not quite the right word, but container maybe. And they sort of depressurise it, then you have a mask on.
New over begins from Murtagh, right up in the block hole. Good Yorker. Superb Yorker. Even better fielding from Harry Tector, who at mid-on has dived forward like in scrum half style, underarmed the ball onto the stumps as de Kock stole a quick single. And momentarily there was great interest. It faded into sort of disinterest now amongst the island fielders.
I think it's going to be close, but I think he's probably just about got home. I think de Kock doesn't look too worried. But you never know with direct hits. We've seen that in the past where they sort of batsman feels that they've made their ground and can often be.
He's gone. What is that, an inch?
It's a great bit of fielding. That's what that is from Harry Tector, the guy that we've spoken about more about his batting before the game, but that's a fine bit of fielding to get rid of South Africa's danger man there.
Well, de Kock goes. And it didn't strike me as a particularly risky single. It didn't look like a touch and go. It was not, he's taking a chance there. It's just very, very good fielding.
Excellent fielding. We're seeing the replay here, as you say. De Kock didn't look in too much difficulty, but Harry Tector's quick. Wow, that's, a fine bit of fielding.
Quinton de Kock goes for 7 off 8 deliveries. And Rassie van der Dussen is the new batsman for South Africa, having missed out against England. But South Africa got spoilt for choices in the top order. And just to finish off then, so you didn't make it to the 2015 World Cup, and then I was amongst the people who thought, well, we'll get to see Tim Murtagh in the T20 World Cup, and then you pulled the plug. Why did you do that?
I think I'd had enough of being slogged into the stands by that stage, to be perfectly honest. Realised that it wasn't the game for an ageing dibbly-dobbler, as Macca should have called me earlier. So yeah, it was time to kind of give up that form on the game and kind of focus on the other two. I really enjoyed the one-day games that I did play for Ireland, and then obviously managed to sneak a couple of test matches in right at the end of my career before unfortunately having to retire and sort of focus on my Middlesex career.
Murtagh back into the attack, and first delivery to Riza Hendricks is steered away behind square on the offside to backward point for a single. Hendricks moves up to 15 off 12 balls on. I'm slightly surprised that Rassie van der Dussen has come to the crease inside the power play. He's a slow starter. He's in an increasingly small minority of players who believes that he can always catch up and that he's going to give himself time to play himself in, and if that means scoring at a run a ball or less for the first dozen deliveries, then that's what he does. He's taking half a step down the wicket to Murtagh here, and the ball hits him on the pad or the glove and bounces out on the onside, but again there was no aggressive intent.
I think one final thing on that fielding, I think that's something Ireland have got to do well in these two games. If you're going to compete against the best teams in the world, fielding, especially when I was playing, was a massive emphasis. Okay, you might not have the skills batting and bowling that some of the top teams do, but there's kind of no excuse in the field not to help the bowlers out and save a few runs.
Darren again, and that's driven through extra cover. It's a glorious shot from Rassie van der Dussen, and he's got 4 runs. It was a really just a super piece of classic cricket, really. I mean, apart from the fact that did he take half a step out of his crease?
Possibly. He's looking to come on the front foot, as we see there, but as you say, that was more suited to a Test cricket shot really than a T20 shot. Murtagh's got to sort of keep an eye on that, keep an eye on the movement. I think as a bowler you've always got to be watching the batsman's feet and what they're doing and whereabouts they're standing in the crease, and readjust your length accordingly.
Darren maybe slightly slow, just a little bit pace off that time, and van der Dussen again getting onto the front foot, just knocked it down defensively on the onside. Again there was speculation that Rassie van der Dussen was a certain starter against England and that he was simply rested out of that series. I think not. I think it was a shot across the bows would be too strong, but it was a message that actually, you know what, we need players who can, or we would rather have. That's turned away out towards square leg once again, and we'll go through for another single. 4 overs gone. South Africa winning the toss, batting first, 29 for 1. They've lost Quinton de Kock, run out for 7 off 8 balls. But Tim, I think the era, apart from a very, very small minority of great players, the era of the "that's the way I play" batsman is fading.
I think so. I think as you've seen probably from the England team, if you don't kind of buy into the way they play, then you're probably not going to play many games. And I think that's kind of the way international cricket has got to at the moment, isn't it? It's all for the team, and if someone seemed to sort of take up a few balls, where they shouldn't do, then they will come hard down on it.
Barry McCarthy into the attack. First delivery is a low full toss on leg stump, and he's got away with it because it's only cost a single as Van der Dussen clips it out towards deep mid-wicket.
It'll be interesting to see what South Africa do these last 2 overs of the power play. As you say, they've been fairly circumspect so far. Maybe that's because they haven't seen a lot of these Irish guys, so they've given themselves a bit extra time just to adjust to that.
McCarthy in again, and this time it's blocked by Riza Hendricks. He didn't mean to block it. I think he was trying to push it into a gap at extra cover, but it's nicely fielded by the bowler himself, Barry McCarthy. During overs 6 to 10, it'll be interesting to hear Jared Kimber's thoughts on batters, men and women, who believe that it doesn't matter if they use up 10 or 12 deliveries. They back themselves to catch up, and they want to have those deliveries to get themselves in. Here is McCarthy once again. Another one, 2 straight, 2 leg side, clipped out towards deep mid-wicket. It will be cut off by Gareth Delaney at deep mid-wicket. There certainly is a feeling now that even if you aren't able to hit boundaries from the off, that you should be playing yourself in a minimum strike rate of 100, run a ball.
Yeah, I think so. I think they speak a lot about matchups as well, don't they? I think certain batters will have certain bowlers in the opposition that they'll have their eye on, and I think the team will speak about that before the games.
Oh, that's a pick-up slog out towards deep mid-wicket. That's beautifully executed by Riza Hendricks, but it's certainly a shot of a man who is acknowledging that perhaps they're not making the best of the power play, but he's just picked up a length delivery and slogged it over mid-wicket for 4.
Yeah, it might be that's what they've spoken about with McCarthy. They realise he does take wickets, but he can leak runs, so it might be that sort of they're specifically going to target this over anyway. It'd be interesting to see how the next few balls go, but these are the sort of things that do come up in team meetings beforehand.
McCarthy in once again, and this one is clipped out towards mid-wicket and very nicely fielded by Paul Stirling, diving away to his left. Huge tournament coming up for the whole Ireland team, of course, the T20 World Cup, but it just has looked this summer as though Paul Stirling has been slightly too aware of the weight of expectation on his shoulders and the importance of he hasn't sort of batted with that freedom that can be so devastating.
Oh, he's my favourite player to watch bat. There's no doubt about it, and a little part of me dies every time he gets out, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the way we've been feeling. Slower ball gone wrong here from Barry McCarthy. I think it was a little gripper, a little off-cutter, and it's gone a long way down the leg side, so I'll have to bowl that one again.
But hopefully, as we say, sort of with the form of Harry Tector, Andrew Balbirnie's turned himself into a very fine player as well. Hopefully he feels that weight's not solely on his shoulders now, and can look to express himself a bit more like he's used to.
Shorter ball pulled away down towards short fine leg, and half stop before it's cleaned up by Andy McBrien running in from deep square leg. So he's banged that one into the surface, Barry McCarthy. Don't know whether it was a attempted slower ball bouncer, but it was definitely pace off, and it's pulled away, and it's just a single. So 5 overs gone. South Africa winning the toss and batting first in the first of 2 T20 internationals, brought to you live and exclusive ball by ball here on talkSPORT 2. And South Africa are 38 for 1, and for the next 5 overs you'll be with Jared Kimber and Andrew McKenna.
Thank you, Manners. Yep, good start this one for South Africa. Riza Hendricks 21 from 16, Rassie van der Dussen 6 from 5. And dear listener, you'll know that Manners has been a really important part of the commentary team on talkSPORT for a while. And if you were with us during the South Africa-India series recently, you remember, Manners was just talking about Rassie van der Dussen and his style there. You might remember one of the games, Manners was giving dog's abuse to Rassie van der Dussen. What's he doing here? He's going at 1 run every 6 overs kind of thing. And Rassie van der Dussen ended up playing a match-winning innings, smashing India to all parts, and Manners sat very quietly at the back of the box. And I just wonder if he's trying to do the same thing this evening. He's trying to talk Rassie van der Dussen into another monumental innings. We will find out. McBrien's off-spin is going to be once again employed. Hendricks off the back foot. It's unable to be completely stopped at short extra cover. Texer will pull it in just inside the long off boundary, and they will take a couple. 40 for 1. Jared Campher.
Mackie, you're the sort of person who knows these sort of facts. They had a concert out on that outfield there. It's looking a little bit dodgy out in that corner, like, Tina Turner just came through for a gig.
There have been a few cricket grounds used for concerts lately, haven't there? Hendricks will turn this one on the onside. Campher coming off the mid-wicket boundary will keep it to a single. 41 for 1. Of course, the income, absolutely important, and cricket venues, nice outdoor venue. Interesting that a lot of the apartments and whatever around the ground, plenty of people out on the balconies watching. There's a decent sprinkling of supporters have come in to watch this one. I wonder if there might be a few more on Friday for the second game, obviously the start of the weekend. Oh, that's a short one from McBrien, and van der Dussen has swept it on one knee, couple of bounces into the crowd at square leg, and van der Dussen goes to double figures, goes to 10, 45 for 1.
I don't know, it'd be worth asking Tim this. I reckon Ireland have bowled about 7 terrible deliveries so far, that when they have a look, is it Scott Irvine, I think, is their analyst, is just going to be deleting some footage.
Oh, outside edge, and van der Dussen is caught at short third, and McBrien has a big one. It was wider of off stump, and van der Dussen has tried to whip it through the onside, and in closing the face has got the leading edge, and he's caught at short third, and South Africa lose their second. 45 for 2. Van der Dussen going for 10 from 7 deliveries.
It's the sort of dismissal that you expect to see, like a massive amount of drift. I'm not sure that ball drifted at all. Just kept his feet in place and tried to hit it from foot outside off stump to mid-wicket, maybe even squarer of that in the end. And he's got the outside edge, and he's probably unlucky. I don't know how often you're facing an off-spinner and you caught it short third. But it was a bizarre choice. If he's going to play that shot, all he really had to do was move his foot into the line, get his head there. But instead, he took a big risk. And I don't think Ireland have bowled particularly well, but they've got the run out and they've got that wicket. And, they've certainly got a couple of good players in the crease now, South Africa, but Ireland have got some pressure on them.
Well, what was it? The old sporting quote, I'd rather be lucky than good. You can have all the plans in your life. Sometimes you just need something to go your way. So Little takes the catch that brings Aiden Markram out to the middle. Of course, didn't play the first 2 games against England. Did play in the third and was 51 not out from 36 balls. So these two, there's a bit of work to be done. As Tim Murtagh mentioned earlier, Riza Hendricks did have a fine series against England with 3 50s. 57 from 33, 53 from 32, and he finished up with 70 from 50. It is Markram on strike. First ball from McBrien. He's playing it off the back foot down to long on, and it will be just a single. 46 for 2. So we've got 1 ball left of the 6 over power play, which will give us an idea of where South Africa are looking in terms of scoring. McBride. He kicks out wide in his run in and then comes in straighter, and Hendricks will just clip this one again to long on to Adair, and that will be the 6 overs. So 47 for 2 after the 6 over power play period. Jerry Kimber.
Yeah, just having a look at the intelligent cricket stats on the two players here. Aiden Markram doesn't particularly smash off spin. He gets a little bit stuck against it, would be the best. And his biggest weakness as a batter has always been left arm pace. Riza Hendricks has no problem against off spin, but generally does have problems against left arm pace. Not so much today when he kept getting wide half volleys that he was putting everywhere. So this is not a particularly bad matchup with Little and McBride out there. Obviously, we're seeing Little come in now. I would guess that is because that's probably almost purely a matchup thing. I don't think Little would usually be bowling the 7th over. They'd usually chuck this to some random spinner, Paul Stirling or someone. Give it to someone who doesn't matter, but they're going back, they're going to one of their strike bowlers here, I think, because the matchup is there. So it tells you how much Ireland are following that sort of data out on the field.
As a good friend of Paul Stirling, I hope Tim Murtagh will reflect that back when he speaks to him later on and tell him that Jared Kimber says his overs don't matter. Here goes Little then. Hendricks is coming forward for this. Oh, what a shot that is. That is a square drive through point. There is a cover sweeper and it's beaten him to the boundary. The 4 brings up the South African 50. 51 for 2 after 6 overs and 1 ball.
We've now seen 4 wide, foolish balls from Josh Little to Riza Hendricks. I can only assume this is a plan and that this isn't all accidental and he keeps getting it wrong. And if it is a plan, then Riza Hendricks has changed something in his technique recently or just really likes Josh Little because it just keeps coming into the arc. He's played that one square before he went very straight.
Or it's a rubbish plan. Little goes in and it's a short ball. Bowls the bumper. And umpire Saggers is happy enough with that one and allows it to go through without anything done on that occasion. So 51 for 2 it remains.
There is the great Ian O'Brien story when he played for New Zealand and he was playing against Scotland and he had his notes down for the opener and he had it for Watts or Watson and they sent in the other guy because it was a shortened game and he kept bowling to his perfect plan as this guy kept smacking him everywhere and he kept looking back at the notes going, no, this is what I was supposed to do.
Little goes in. Oh, that's down the leg side. Help round the corner. Lands just short of the fielder at short fine leg inside the circle, who's not able to stop it, and it will burst through his hands and go away for 4. Hendricks goes to 34 from 23 balls. 55 for 2 South Africa.
Yeah, I think short fine leg got a good sider of that, but it was hit so fast that it would have been very hard to dive forward, where I think you would have had to. In fact, you would have had to dive forward and across. I'm not sure. I didn't pick up who was at short fine, but you don't usually put the world's greatest fielder down there.
In goes Little. Slower ball on this occasion. Hendricks will turn on the mid-wicket side to Tector, coming off of the boundary for a single.
But I wonder if they'll be a little bit disappointed that it wasn't stopped as well. But it was hit with good pace. That's the problem with feeling so close in that position. You're not really there for that particular shot, are you?
Absolutely not. Riza Hendricks is on an absolute tear-up at the moment. Great.
Just to go back to Ian O'Brien, I'm just saying there's 2 Hendricks from South Africa. There's Buren.
Yes.
They might have just got the numbers wrong.
Little is going to go around the wicket to Markram, in towards the rib cage, plays off of the waist, drops it out on the onside. Tector's going to come all the way off of the boundary, as there's no man in front of square on the leg side, and they will take a single. 57 for 2. Riza Hendricks' numbers, I mean, overall he averages 28.5 from this is his 47th T20 international, a best of 74, 10 50s, strike rate of 125.5, but all of those numbers have significantly improved in the last year or so. This is, again, relatively short and wide from Little. Hendricks, though, can only find the fielder at backward point, and there's no run. 7 overs gone, 57 for 2 here on talkSPORT 2. And, of course, just to remind you, the Premier League, you might have heard of that. It returns this weekend. There are 3 live and exclusive commentaries across the talkSPORT network this weekend, starting with Arsenal going to Crystal Palace on Friday night. That's on talkSPORT, and Spurs against Southampton on talkSPORT 2. So you're probably going to need the talkSPORT app or your smart speaker or whatever, settled up and ready to go. Download the app and you can simply swipe between talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2 for all of your live sport. And don't forget, on Friday evening we're here once again for the second of these two T20 internationals between Ireland and South Africa. Right, bit of twirl again. George Dockrell is going to bowl his off breaks. He's got short third, backward point, short extra, and the short fine leg as the men in the circle. I said off breaks, and of course it's left arm spin, my apologies. And turned first ball onto the onside. Tector's coming in, and it will be just a single, 58 for 2.
You've seen so little of him bowl over the last couple of years. You've literally forgotten which arm he bowls with as he transitions from bowler to batter, really. Although he still bowls a little bit in T20, doesn't he?
Here he is. Well, he's bowling left arm around, and that probably would have gone 8 inches down past the leg stump. I mean, it's really going in on the angle.
Worth a shout, is what you mean.
In the old days, maybe. In he comes once again. Oh, inside out by Hendricks. He's got height and just enough distance to clear the covers on that occasion with one bounce, so it's away for a 4. I did just wonder if he got underneath that a little bit to start with, but he's played a few of those so far, and that's another one that goes away for a boundary. 62 for 2, and that's Riza Hendricks' 5th 4.
Yeah, look, he did get under it, but it was on purpose because he was trying to pick that gap between the sweeper on the offside and long off.
Down the leg side, Hendricks helps this one around the corner, and it's through wide long leg, and it's back-to-back boundaries. If this was a little bit of an experimental over, I'm afraid the experiment may not be recording that high scores.
Yeah, you don't want this one peer-reviewed, Macca. It was a poor delivery we've seen. Considering they're very much in the game at the moment, aren't they? They've bowled some shockers.
That's a better delivery, and that is inside out, so it's up and over the covers, and will trundle out to Gareth Delaney, who's doing cover sweeper duties, just for a single on that occasion. And he says now 10 from the 5 balls of this over so far, 67 for 2.
Yeah, the sort of throwaway overs I was talking about before. Dockrell would usually bowl the 7th. He'd probably get a better time of it if he bowls in the 7th than coming on just after that.
For the final time this over, and it is Markram deep in the crease, pushing out on the onside. Bowler himself, Dockrell, goes to field at mid-wicket, and it will be just a single, so 68 for 2 after 8. Markram 4 from 4. Hendricks 44 from 29. The men out. Quentin de Kock run outs by Harry Tector at mid-on. 7 from 8 balls he faced. Rassie van der Dussen caught at short third by Little off the bowling McBride for 10 from 7. So it means that 68 for 2 at the moment after 8. Therefore we're going at 8, almost 9 and over at this stage. So that's your sort of 150, 170. I mean, what was it we saw with the recently they played here? 234 for 6 England against 193 for 8 South Africa when there's two sides made. It is normally a relatively high scoring ground. McCarthy is going to come back on, and his right arm seam is immediately hit out to the cover sweeper Campher, and it's just a single, 69 for 2.
Well, to go back to Manners' comments before, he was talking about the slow starters. This is a tactic that South Africa go with, because they do usually try and pick specialist bowlers. They don't trust the all-rounders as much as some other teams do. And it does allow you in the middle overs to sometimes pin them back a little bit, and they don't score at the same rate.
In goes McCarthy. A little bit leg side-ish. Turned round the corner by Hendricks. Will be fielded by McBride at short fine leg, and it is just a single, 70 for 2.
So if you can continue to take, maybe 2 or 3 wickets over the next, let's say 8 overs, you can put South Africa under a lot of pressure. The problem is that if you don't, they hit the death with set players, and they've got guys like Stubbs. Stubbs hasn't really made a mark in international cricket or even the IPL yet, but he will.
In goes McCarthy, swing and a miss from Markram. Through to the keeper, no run. 5 from 6 now for Aiden Markram. South Africa 70 for 2.
So if you looked at that, it's almost a old-fashioned 1990s ODI batting model of, no, we're going to pick a lot of specialist bowlers. We'll make sure that, 7 and 8 can hold the bat, if nothing else. But we're really very top order dependent. India had a similar method until recently, where they ripped it up and went with a new method of just whacking it everywhere. And it has worked for South Africa.
Markram is playing this to mid-wicket. They take the first one quickly. Can they beat the throw on that occasion? Tector is very quick to get the ball in the air, and it will just be a single once again. 71 for 2 here on talkSPORT 2.
And why it works for South Africa is that players like Markram and Rassie, they get set and they get to, let's say, 50 off 30, and then they can almost hit every ball for 6 at a certain point. And that's where it comes back. That's where the strength is. But the weakness is that if you do keep chipping away, they don't bat as deep as some of the other international teams do.
Well, Aiden Markram's strike rate in T20 internationals is 146.5.
That's handy.
It is handy enough. Get him in. Hendricks is waiting. Oh, that's a lovely shot off the back foot. Sort of chest high, leaning backwards, and with the open blade, puts it backward of point, away for 4, and he's 49 not out from 31 as South Africa go to 75 for 2.
Yeah, I'll have to get up a wagon wheel soon, but I think he scored about 80% of his runs from backward point to cover at this point. He's so many boundaries in that area. I don't think he got a lot of width there. He just sort of limboed and gave himself just a little bit more room and cut that from very straight. It's a beautiful shot.
It is indeed. 49 not out for Hendricks, and he will get a short ball, slower ball that gets chest high, and he simply turns it around the corner to McBrien at short fine leg, and that is Riza Hendricks' 11th T20 international 50. He's got there from 32 balls. South Africa 76 for 2.
I mean, he got off to a start when Josh Little just kept feeding him wide, wide full balls that he smashed over cover, but he's played very well since then as well, manufacturing the width that he wants at times and just playing with Ireland's field as much as anything. But he has had some bad balls to dine on as well. Just having a look at his numbers back up, he had a couple of years where he scored a lot of runs in T20 cricket, but at a 130, 135 strike rate. And then he had 2019, didn't play much in 2020 and 2021, where he basically couldn't hit the ball off the square. Really struggled. This year, he's currently averaging 43 at a strike rate of 149. I think he's just unlocked that the boundary hitting ability on the offside a little bit more. And he's probably, I think his strength was always cover, but I think it'd be interesting to see what Manners says, but I think his ability to loft over cover is probably what is the difference between scoring at 130 strike rate and scoring at 145, 150.
Well, that's his 4th 50 in a row in T20 international cricket. And I would suggest you probably can't do that at this kind of level if you can't play. Delaney is on. Oh, and straight away he's managed to hurry one through Hendricks that takes him on the back leg and just squirts out on the offside, and there is no run. Leg breaks from Delaney. 5th bowler used, and then he comes over the wicket. That one's a little bit short. Hendricks is hitting hard to Adair at the long on fielding position. Hendricks goes to 51. South Africa 77 for 2.
I think they're just trying to mix up their more part-timer spinners here at the moment. So you've got Delaney and Dockrell coming on, but with the seamers at the other end as well.
Off the back foot on this occasion, Markram hits out to Dockrell, who was doing cover sweeping duty, single taken, 78 for 2.
Delaney sort of skids the ball through. He's a good T20 part-timer, but certainly not a specialist leg spinner by in any way, but he gets the ball to skid through very straight.
That's a short ball, hammered into the onside by Hendricks, and that is going to go away for 4. Adair can't get around and pull that one in. Well, I'm afraid Jared Kimber has called this pretty well. They've bowled some filth that has been absolutely dispatched. That's just a short pull down, and then a bloke who's 50 not out is not missing out on that.
No, he's trying to skid them through, so he is trying to bowl shorter, although this is good.
That's a beauty. Takes him on the pad. Umpire Rowley says no. Rowley Black. Now there's going to be a conversation about whether that's worth reviewing. Andy Balbirnie is walking in from his position square of the wicket, and they are going to review.
I think it was a very good ball, but I'd be shocked if it's not sliding down a little bit. Might be umpire's call, but
I mean, I'm going to go against my own feelings because I hate the notion of, well, it's worth a go kind of thing, but I get the impression it's because it's Hendricks who's 55 not out, and they're just going to try and burgle one if they can.
Yeah, what Tim was just showing us the stat was it's the most 50 scores in a row. It's equal with McCullum and Gale. There's a couple of others as well. It's so rare. We're just seeing the replay now. That's hit him right in front of leg stump from our angle, but we're not straight on.
Doesn't look like there's an inside edge either.
It doesn't look like it's spinning back either, Mako. In fact, if anything, it looks like it's going. It almost looks like a wrong, and I don't think it was. I think it was a leg spinner, but it's just going down on the angle.
It's got to be full on the stump.
It could hit leg. I don't think it's hitting enough.
Yeah, because it's been given not out on the field. Therefore, umpire's call will go in favour of the batsman. Now, at the moment, they're looking with ultra edge to make sure there's no inside edge, and there is no inside edge, as we thought originally. Now, we can see bits of leg stump around the pad. Now we're going to get the ball tracking. This is the important bit. It's pitched in line. The impact's in line, and the wicket is indeed umpire's call. And it's not 50% of the ball, because obviously that's what you need for out. I would put that at high 30s, maybe 40%. I mean,
yeah, in the end, that was a good review, because I think when we saw it originally, we thought it was skirting further down. We always thought it was a chance of getting leg. He must have straightened it just enough, which it's hard to tell because it was still going on with the angle.
Right, final ball of the first half then. Delaney's gone for 6 so far in this over. In he goes. It's a quicker one. Hurriedly. Oh, brilliantly fielded by Paul Stirling. Hendricks off the back foot. Hits to Stirling at backward point. Going away to his right-hand side. Pulls it in and keeps it on the playing surface. Returns it back to the bowler. So that is 10 overs gone. 82 for 2 are South Africa. Riza Hendricks, the opener, is still there. 55 not out after 37 balls. Aiden Markram, the man with him, 7 not out, 8 balls for him. The men to go. Quinton de Kock run out for 7 from 8 balls. Rassie van der Dussen, 10 from 7 before he was caught at short third by little off the bowling of McBride. So McBride, the only bowler to be successful so far, thanks to Harry Tector's run out. McBride's got 1 for 12. I'm going to pause and make way for Neil Manthorpe and Tim Murtagh to take you through the next 5 overs of this South African innings here on talkSPORT 2.
Thank you very much indeed, Andrew McKenna. Well, South Africa's history and record in white ball cricket, first of all in one-day international cricket, has been pretty formulaic, and in the late 1990s, early 2000s, they had a win rate of higher than any other team in the history of one-day cricket. And they've taken that sort of formulaic, almost predictable type approach into the T20 format as well. And I have to say that 80 for 2 after 10 overs is a very, very typical South African start. So there's not very much room for manoeuvre from the ideal blueprint, Tim Murtagh. They kind of have this way of going about things, and they're bang on course. This is where they want to be.
Yeah, I agree. I think sort of any time you're only 2 down after 10 overs, you put yourself in a really good position to kick on for this next half of the innings. I mean, Riza Hendricks looks like he's batting on a different wicket to the others. He's made it look very easy. Having said that, I think the wicket looks excellent. There's been no real spin. It seems like the ball's slid onto the bat quite nicely. But as you say, yeah, they've set themselves up nicely for this back half of the innings. Hendricks is in and seeing the ball well, and he'll be looking to Markram now to also kick on and push themselves up towards that 200 mark, which I'd imagine they would be looking at, having had such a decent start to the first 10.
What Jared Kimber was saying about Riza Hendricks is absolutely right. It's very interesting the way he's gone about his game. He's sort of systematically tried to knock off each weakness. Also, might be too strong a word, but he's added a different element to his game each year. He's 32 now. This drinks break is over and done, and Curtis Campher's into the attack for his first over, and it's cut away off the back foot, or back foot drive really, I suppose, to backward point, and they pick up a couple of runs. So each year Riza Hendricks has set himself a target, or his coaches have set himself a target to become stronger in this area or that area, and certainly his offside play has improved dramatically over the last couple of years. Oh, this is down the leg side, and it's completely missed by Lorcan Tucker, who looks to the heavens in disbelief and admonishment. Maybe there was a bad bounce, maybe he just took his eye off the ball, but it's 4 wides.
You might be being a bit generous to him there. It's what we spoke about earlier with the fielding. That's, an example. The Irish guys have got to save everything in the field, and unfortunately this one's gone straight through Lorcan Tucker, and that's cost the Irish team an extra 4 runs there.
Poor delivery from Curtis Campher, trying the off cutter, but got it wrong. But Lorcan Tucker should certainly have done a great deal better with that one. This next delivery is clipped up towards mid-on, and they take another single. Curtis Campher does seem to make things happen. Well, doesn't seem to. He does make things happen with bat and ball, and he's not the most metronomically accurate or reliable bowler, but he does have variations, and he's got a happy knack of taking wickets. Here he is once again, another one down the leg side, another fumble from Lorcan Tucker. At least he got his gloves to it, but he's pushed it away past. It's a wide down the leg side, and they've run one as well.
Yeah, I'm slightly surprised we haven't seen him until the 11th over. I think, as you say, he does have a knack of taking wickets, and Ireland are definitely in the position where they need to take wickets. Otherwise this could get really messy.
It's a quicker one, much quicker. Surprising pace and bounce from Curtis Campher. Speed gun tells us it was only 132 kilometres an hour, but I think the previous couple were pace off and more like 120, so that surprised Aiden Markram, and he went for the pull and had to pull out of it. Very well bowled. So South Africa, at this stage, you would think on target for something like 170, 180 maybe. They've got 8 wickets in hand and some big hitters. They could get more than that. This next delivery is length and pushed firmly to long off, and they go through for an easy single. Aiden Markram is setting himself up here, 11 off 12 balls. Riza Hendricks becomes the first South African to score 4 consecutive 50s in T20 internationals. 3 players before him had scored 3 in a row. Hashim Amla, Quinton de Kock, A.B. de Villiers. That one is flicked away out towards square leg. Again, it's gone straight to the fielder, Gareth Delaney. And just a single. Hendricks has 56 off 38 balls. So he is nicely poised for some acceleration now.
Yeah, I think I've spent too much time sat next to Jarrod Kimber, because I was looking up most consecutive T20 international 50s, and as I say, he has equalled McCullum and Gale and a couple of other guys with 4. And
drive off a thick outside edge, mistimed, looking to hit through the onside. It squirts away to backward point where Stirling fields.
I'll tell you one thing, he won't want the coach resting him for the next game either. He's got an opportunity to go 5 from 5 in the next game and take that record, so there's no way he'll want to be rotated for the next game. But as you say, he's probably in the form of his life in this format of the game. And as I said, it looks like he's sort of been batting on a different wicket to some of the others. It does look a belting wicket, and as I said, I think 200's certainly on for the South Africans here. That's probably a number they'll be looking at now from this good start.
Well, Tristan Stubbs' first innings for South Africa yielded 72 from 28 balls against England in a losing cause on this ground. It was his 3rd game, but he didn't bat in the first 2 after an emphatic run chase from South Africa, in which he wasn't required. He was due to bat number 6. There's a good delivery from Delaney, leg spinner, which may have just been a little bit quicker, and a cut shot attempted from Hendricks, bottom edge into the ground, and it's a dot ball as a result. And The second game was rain affected, so that was his first innings in his third game, Tristan Stubbs, and he is probably set to come in next. Short, long hop, poor delivery. Every now and then Gareth Delaney does look like a part-timer, and at other times he looks anything but. But that was a real drag down and pulled away for 4.
Yeah, I think a guy who's on 60 or 40 balls isn't going to miss out on something like that. That's, as you say, he is a bit of a part-timer, Gareth Delaney. Probably bowling sort of some of the overs that maybe George Dockrell would have done, but, he sort of went for a few that first one as well.
That looked like a googly from Delaney, and again, good pace on it. Just punched off the back foot to cover for a single as Harry Tector fields.
So Stubbs is due in at 6 on the scorecard, it's saying there, but is it something they'll consider, do you think?
I think so.
Whack him up 1, yeah?
I think so. Down the wicket comes Aiden Markram. He does play glorious straight drive and used his feet very nicely there and has just placed it. Didn't try to hit the cover off that one. Short straight boundaries, and actually it's gone for 6 anyway. Thought it bounced once before it went over, but it didn't.
It's a lovely shot. It's sort of a part of the ground where there's never any fielders. Beautiful strike, the way he used his feet, danced down and hit the leg spinner back over his head.
Another short one, pulled, mistimed from Markram, bottom edge out to Harry Tector again at square leg, and it's just a single. So I suspect we may not see another over from Gareth Delaney after this one. 2 overs, he's about to bowl the last ball of his second over, none for 18. It's not disastrous by any means, as Hendricks now drives down the ground past the bowler to long off, and Andy McBride tidies up. So 12 overs gone, South Africa winning the toss in the first of 2 T20 internationals being played at the county ground in Bristol, part of an attempt to form a partnership between Cricket Ireland and the ECB, in which more games will be played by Ireland at county grounds, with the anticipation, I don't know whether it's hope or anticipation, of more international cricket during the Irish summer. So and certainly it helps from a logistical point of view for the tourists, whoever they may be, for South Africa. They moved to Canterbury for a 4-day game after the second T20 international. That's next week. 4-day game against the England Lions as a build-up from the 9th and the 12th of August, as a build-up to the first test on the 17th at Lord's. Now it's Barry McCarthy back into the attack, 2 overs for 17, and first delivery is clipped out towards long on. They're going to take on the arm, and they go through for 2, and that was hard running from Markram and Hendricks, who had no doubt, no hesitation, turned for the second, and both committed immediately. 109 for 2.
Yeah, good bit of running there. I think he realised as soon as he hit it, he probably hadn't hit it as hard as he would have liked, but perfectly in that gap, and sort of split the 2 fielders out on the leg side, and took the opportunity to come back for a second, which was very well done.
South Africa just beginning to accelerate. You can hear the revs going up in the engine. That's a slower ball bouncer from Barry McCarthy, and it's actually worked quite nicely. Riza Hendricks was into the pull shot and actually had the ability and presence of mind to pause it, but in the end could only put it away for a single. Do love a good slower ball bouncer.
Yeah, that was pretty well played, sort of disguised there from Barry McCarthy. I think with Markram, we've seen here the last few balls, he's really looked to up his rate. I think he's probably realised there's no point him sort of messing around here. I think sort of he's got to the stage where almost every ball's got to go with a long batting lineup coming behind him.
Oh, that's clever from Aiden Markram. Backs away. Gave himself 2 options there. If it had been full, he would have gone over extra cover. Because it was back of a length, he's just opened the face and steered it over third for 6.
Yeah, fantastic shot. He just used the pace there. He almost didn't look like he hit it at all. Just pure timing. Shows what a class player he is. I don't think McCarthy's done much wrong there, to be honest. It's probably about sort of 4th stump line and of a reasonable length, but Markram's made it look a bad ball, which it certainly wasn't.
Another slower ball, short one from McCarthy, and again Aiden Markram is fooled by it, I'll have to say, and in the end can only bunt it out towards wide long on for a single. I don't think he did hit the 1 for 6. He just literally looked like he steered it.
I mean, which again backs up, I think this is a really good wicket. I don't think you can play a shot like that on a wicket that's a bit sort of too paced or stopping at all. That's kind of slid off the bat beautifully. So it does look a good pitch, and I think with the lights on, hopefully the Irish lads will be hoping that the ball skids onto the bat nicely in the second innings, and there's no spin for any of the South African spinners as well.
It's another slower ball, short one from McCarthy, and once again, Riza Hendricks, it's almost like there's not enough pace on it to hit it properly, and he's into position to play the pull, and it's just not arriving as his brain tells him it should, and in the end he can just bunt it once again for a single.
Yeah, I think we're looking at the speeds of McCarthy there. He's bowled, 3 slower balls out of 5, and I'd suspect those were the ones that he's had the most success with, so I wouldn't be surprised if he takes the pace off again here.
Yes, he did, but it's gone leg side, and on the march comes Aiden Markram, driving it to long on, and they'll run through for 2. So actually, given that South Africa are trying to accelerate now, I think that was a very clever over from Barry McCarthy. Again, as Tim Murtagh alongside me knows far better than I ever will, he'll be thinking, I've got 3 overs, none for 30, and actually I've bowled quite well.
Yeah, I think that was quite smart. It obviously looks a bit bigger, the boundary to the leg side that from the end that McCarthy was bowling there, so he bowled a lot of balls into the wicket.
plays a paddle from outside of off stump towards the leg side. I think it was actually a slow ball. Yes, it was. 110 kilometres an hour, that one. So he's almost tried to play a sweep from a foot and a half outside of off stump to an off-break bowler.
Yeah, originally I thought that might have been back of the hand, but it wasn't. It was a cutter, and almost spun back into his arc. But again, he's kept it wide. With slower balls, it's obviously probably slightly harder to get the length exactly right, but you're hoping to get the ball to dip, and I think that's what happened there. It just dipped a bit on him.
Final ball then of the 18th. In goes McCarthy. Oh, it's a lowish full toss that Klassen has, well, he's hit straight down to McBrien at long off, and it will be just a single. And, well, yeah, Jarrod Kimber's just called it. That's arguably a win for Ireland, that over. The over itself goes for 8, which in this circumstance is absolutely fantastic. McCarthy has finished 4 overs for 38. South Africa 183 for 4 with 12 balls of their innings to go.
It's why contextualising strike rates and economy rates makes so much more sense, because that's not a win if you're a spinner, probably in the 8th over of the innings, or if you're bowling even the first over, that's not a win. But in this, that I would say, all things considered, especially looking at this game, that's probably like a +4, +5, and considering it could have gone for 20. Anything could have gone on there. So I think a really good over here. It'd be interesting to see Josh Little coming back now. He's really struggled with line and length today, but this is, one of the reasons he's in the side. He's such a good death bowler at his absolute best, or the idea of Josh Little is certainly that he will be a very good death bowler as he develops as a player. Still very young, of course.
He's going at 15s at the moment, 3 overs for 45.
Anything less than that, you'd take.
Oh, yeah. They've used 7 bowlers so far, so if they didn't fancy it, they didn't need to bowl him. He's going to start with a short one, round about the badge actually of Klassen's helmet. He's pulled it straight down towards the sweeper at square leg. It is just a single, so Klassen's got himself off strike really as much as anything else. He's got 3 from 4. Stubbs will take guard once again with South Africa 184 for 4.
10 runs off the last 8 balls. Considering that we saw Stubbs go a little bit crazy there, this is a really good mini period from Ireland. The problem is that there's, still another 11 balls to go, and it could get very messy. But this little period they have won. If Little can he's going to come round the wicket. If he can just use his pace and get a couple of balls in the right area and frustrate Stubbs, then they might be onto something here.
He's on his way then. Around the wicket goes Little. It is wide. It's a huge swing from Stubbs, and Martin Saggers, the umpire, says it is outside of the little blue marker, and he raises his arms and calls that one wide. 185 for 4. It was threatening to come back in, and then actually pitched and sort of went away a little bit, which it probably was going to be wide anyway, but just that little bit of movement at the end certainly ensured that it was the extra.
Yeah, just a little bit of reverse, I think, but that's what he does, and that's one of the reasons he's been so successful at the death.
In he comes again, left arm around, short ball. Oh, Stubbs has gone for this one. He's got it high, no distance at all. Who's underneath it? Well, the answer is Lorcan Tucker, the wicket-keeper's called everyone off, and he's taken a really good catch. It has not been an easy evening for Lorcan Tucker behind the stumps. He's had a few down the leg side from the bowlers, and a couple of second bouncers that haven't been taken that cleanly, but well, he's basically been viewing the Avon skyline for about 5 or 6 seconds there as he tries to get back and underneath it. Just about got himself settled, hits the middle of the gloves, and Stubbs goes for 24 from 11, 185 for 5.
Called that very early, Mackie. You like that as a wicketkeeper, because that didn't go far from Andy McBrien, but he wasn't going to allow him to take it. It went so high up in the air. I think that's good. I think a lot of times, especially when we're commentating, someone will bowl a length ball at the death and they'll get hit for 6, and we'll say, oh, you can't bowl length at the death. That's maybe a slightly harder length there, but there was nothing wrong with that ball, because what Stubbs was expecting was another full wide one, and he went very fast and probably just maybe at the top of middle and leg and cramped him a little bit, and he's mishit that. I think of all the balls that Stubbs was expecting, I think he was expecting probably a short ball or a very wide one or some sort of a slower ball, and he wasn't expecting that particular delivery. So I think it was good thinking there. of course, it could have been just as good thinking if you got the top edge and it had gone over the keeper's head for 6.
Pretorius is the new man. He's at the non-striker's end, and he's watching Josh Little bowl another wide. Unfortunately for him, it was outside the guide, and Klassen just held the shape and waited for umpire Martin Saggers to stretch the arms out. 186 for 5. By the way, Dwayne Pretorius' strike rate just shy of 154, so 1.5 per ball every time he hits it. So he doesn't get many opportunities down the order. He has got one international T20 50, best of 77, not out by the way, and he will now get on strike because Klassen hits this to long on for a single. 187 for 5.
Klassen just hasn't faced enough, has he? He's faced one ball early on and then stood at the other end, and he's almost missed everything. That ball shot from Stubbs, does that hit I don't want to say the middle, but doesn't seem to hit the edge, does it?
No, it's come off the face of a very angular bat, so it was always going up rather than out, as it were. Right, Pretorius waits for Little. Edges one that was getting very big, chest high, and that would have been a regulation catch at first slip in a county championship game, but there isn't a slip in a T20 game halfway through the 19th over, so it goes away for 4. Pretorius is underway with the boundary, 191 for 5.
This is why Little can be such a good bowler. He's unlucky here that this has ended up going for 4-macker rather than going straight to Lorcan Tucker behind the stumps. But he's bowled a off-cutter at 120 kilometres an hour around the wicket, angling in at the body of the lower order player. Beautiful delivery.
In he goes in. It's a shortish ball. Pretorius has got underneath this, scoops it around, and he's actually got sufficiently little enough wood on it that it will fall between and short. The man coming in from square leg on the boundary and the man coming in from the long leg boundary, and as a result he will end up taking a single. 192 for 5.
Another good cutter, this time short though, and at the body of Pretorius, and he just doesn't get anything on it. But this has been a really good over, including the wides, including the edge and everything.
In he goes. Klassen swinging hard, under edge, gets it out to Delaney at square leg for a single. So 19 overs are in the book. 193 for 5 is the South African total. So it looks like they will get something starting with a 2, but it's not going to be the second digit quite as high as it was looking to threaten to be at one stage. Those last couple of overs from Ireland were really good, Jared.
Yeah, probably from the two worst performing seamers in this game. That was their best overs, and I would say, I think Little is going to be a very good death bowler, but I'm not sure that's going to be McCarthy's ever his strength. I think he's very good in the middle at mixing up pace and lines and lengths and those sorts of things, and occasionally, very good with the new ball when they need him up there as well. But for both of them to go back to back, that's what you have to do, isn't it? I mean, realistically, they're still going to probably get over 200, as you said.
Final over then, as we start, it's going to be Murtagh bowling his final over, and Klassen, that's pretty much off the toe end of the bat, out to long off, and it will be just a single. 194 for 5. Klassen's got 6 from 7. Pretorius, the man now on strike, 5 from 2.
Did you see the pace on that?
It looked quite low.
Yeah, I think it was 106 or 107. It looked like he took the air out of it.
He's not taken the air out of that one as Pretorius comes down the pitch to meet him, tries to swing to the leg side, and it bounces over the bat, and that was 130 odd kilometres an hour, and that is a single and a dot ball, the first 2 deliveries of the 20th over.
Yeah, 26 kilometre pace differential there, which is hard to line up if you're been in for a while, and Jane Pretorius has just walked out to the crease, so good bowling again. They've used the short ball quite well occasionally at the end here too.
He was literally walking at him. This time he goes across his stumps Pretorius and guides it through fine leg. Josh Little is inside the circle at fine leg, but it was finer than him. He had no price of getting hold of that one, and it goes away for 4. 198 for 5.
I think he chased that ball a little bit there, Murtagh, because he saw Pretorius come so far across, and I think he thought he had a chance of getting a boulder in LBW. But to be fair to Pretorius, he moved a long way and then actually got his foot into a beautiful position to play that shot in the end.
Really delicate shot. This one isn't delicate. He's going high into the leg side. Has he got enough of it? Doubt it. Well, actually, just scratch that. It's gone for 6. It didn't look like it had it. It looked like it's one of those that the fielder at deep backward square is just going to amble around, take his cap off, take it, thank you very much, and we'll all have a little high five. And it's gone for 6. 200 up then for South Africa. 204 for 5. 19 overs and 4 balls.
Yeah, you're a rugby man. He drop-kicked that a little bit, didn't he? You know, the way that he hit it in the end, he almost had to follow it because it beat him in pace, but good strike.
Pretorius, full toss outside of off stump, hammers this. Can McCarthy get there? Yes, he can at long off. He's not stopped it cleanly, but has at least done the sensible thing of knock it down and then regather it, and it's a couple. 206 for 5, final ball of the innings to come.
It's been the worst over of the last 3, but I don't think he's bowled particularly bad. I do think maybe he should have gone to fuller and wider a little bit early on, like some of the other guys do. But again, they've not got away. This sort of over can go for 20 or 30.
Final ball then. In it goes. It's a short one, and Pretorius has gone to ramp it, has bailed out, and is immediately looking at the square leg umpire. And Martin Saggers has nodded to Rolly Black, and they have called it as a wide on height. And Mark Adair is not a happy camper, but Dwayne Pretorius is a tall man, and it was well over his head.
Yeah, just having a look here. Me and Tim were watching. We both straight away thought it was going to be a wide. It's a massive wide. Good on him for being upset for bowling a wide.
207 for 5. This will be the final ball. No, it won't. It could have been, because it would have been a wide, but Pretorius has actually managed to reach it. It's barely on the cut strip, and he's got low down and scooped it over gully for 4. Pretorius. So he finishes 21 from 7, Klassen 6 from 7, and South Africa have posted 211 for 5. So that is basically thinking of about 10 and a half and over. So let's give you the scorecard. Quinton de Kock made 7 from 8 before he was run out by Tector. Riza Hendricks, 74 from 53, 10 fours and a 6 before being caught by Stirling off Delaney. Rassie van der Dussen, 10 from 7, caught little bowled McBride. Aiden Markram caught Tector, bowled Delaney, 56 from 27 with 2 fours and 5 sixes. Tristan Stubbs, the last man dismissed, 24 from 11, 3 fours and a 6, caught by Tucker off the bowling with little. The not out man, Heinrich Klassen, who never really got going, 6 from 7, and Dwayne Pretorius, who did 21 from 7, 3 fours and a 6 for him. So 10.55 and over is 211 for 5. The bowling figures: Mark Adair, 4 overs, 0 for 48. Andy McBride, 2 overs, 1 for 12. Josh Little, 4 overs, 1 for 55. Barry McCarthy, 4 overs, 0 for 38. George Dockrell, single over, 0 for 11. Gareth Delaney, 3 overs, 2 for 31. Curtis Campher, 2 overs for 16. Well, Jared, we were expecting something that started with a 2. We've got something that starts with a 2. 211 for 5.
Yeah, look, there was a part of that innings where Ireland fought back. Pretorius is just, he's a perfect player for that role. I've seen teams try and use him higher up the order, but realistically, you want him to bat in the last 2 overs and just swing through the line. He hits them really well. Stubbs, obviously, a similar kind of cameo coming up the order. But before that, they had just fought themselves back into the game enough. Delaney's 2 wickets and those 2 decent overs from Ireland. It probably stops them from chasing 230 to 240, which is, I think South Africa might have been thinking for a little while. But considering everything and the way that Ireland bowled, I don't think they'd be massively upset at only chasing this total when there was a lot of wide balls and shockers down the leg side and the spinners getting it wrong, and everything considered, this is still a very chaseable total for them. And I think that South Africa, they're being honest with themselves, probably would look back at that. If that was England against the same bowling, I think, or peak West Indies team, I think you put an extra 20 or 30 runs on there, and I think South Africa will probably look at that and go, we could have scored a little bit extra.
Put your analyst hat on. If you're the Ireland analyst,
I would burn a lot of those balls.
Well, but you see, that's the thing. There were, 15 deliveries which were bang average that have gone for boundaries. Now, if half of those are turned from 4s into 2s, because look, this ground you're not going to get 3s, and so if it hits the fielder it's a single, you might get it. If you reduce that, all of a sudden you're talking about 180, 190. It just goes to show that a couple of bad balls really do swing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think if I'm the analyst, I would talk with a really, really low voice to the top 4 and say that I think that we had a poor bowling performance and there's probably more runs in this pitch available to us. I certainly wouldn't say that near any of the bowlers, and if it was pointed out that I had, I would deny it and say it was someone else. But I think that's what I would be doing, is saying 211 to me doesn't look that far away from, let's say, high par. 200's never. I don't think there's ever a friendly 200 when you're chasing a T20, but I do think on this particular pitch and everything we've seen, the way that the ball has come on, certainly, and the way that Ireland bowled, I don't think this is, an ungettable total. Ireland could still collapse to 80 all out, or they could absolutely cruise this. That's what happens when you're chasing, these high scores. But I think I'd be pretty confident to be able to say that, all things considered, South Africa certainly could have scored a lot more on this particular pitch, and it's a chaseable total. I wouldn't be sitting there going, it's over 200, we're not going to get this. Considering the ground dimensions and the pitch, certainly think it's within Ireland's chances to be able to get it with their top order.
Well, we know Paul Stirling likes to wallop the ball, so if he gets off to a flyer, then Ireland will fancy their chances. The resumption is not that far away. It's a glorious evening in Bristol, first of 2 games, 2 T20 international between Ireland and South Africa in Bristol. The second one is on Friday evening. That game, like this one, will be coming your way here on talkSPORT 2.
Exclusive international cricket live. Ireland take on South Africa. Direct from the county ground, Bristol, on talkSPORT 2.
Every day, talkSPORT 2 probes the sharpest minds in the business, bringing you all the big-name news, views and opinions that matter. Plus, talkSPORT 2's official betting partner, 888sport, is on hand with the insight and in-depth analysis you need to crack the big betting puzzles of the day. talkSPORT 2 with 888sport, official betting partner of talkSPORT 2. 888sport, made to challenge, made to debate, made to play. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Attention all burger lovers, for the next arrivals to the UK. First, the spicy Spanish stack from McDonald's. 2 delicious beef patties with chili cheddar, red onion and a spicy tomato sauce. And second, the chicken fiesta. Crispy chicken breast fillet with a spicy tomato sauce, chorizo and chili cheddar. Both are now ready to enjoy.
Holiday from home with the McDonald's summer menu, here until the 6th of September. From 11 a.m, participating restaurants subject to availability.
What is belief? It lifts us. It's knowledge and passion. It's part instinct, part optimism. Belief is...
Fulham, back up and staying up. No more yo-yoing.
Forest won it in 78. Who's to say we won't again?
Nah, mate. Leicester did it in 2016. Who's to say we won't?
Spurs, we're realistic. Second with a trophy.
No chance. Arsenal will finish above you.
They believe it. See it on BT Sport.
Who do you trust to help you out? Your best friend? A neighbour? Or your brother's mate Baz, who once watched half a video tutorial? Of course, you could find someone who really does know their stuff. At Trust a Trader. That's why we're here. Type in the job you need doing and we'll find you local tradespeople, reputable and reviewed. So you and Baz can get back to whatever you're good at. Baz, no, not that. You can always trust a trader.
TrustATrader.com. EE's Full Fiber is here. New broadband that can handle anything. And whatever you think that means, times it by a zillion and dip it in chocolate. Because this broadband connects 100 devices in your home.
This is broadband that can handle anything. This is EE Full Fiber, powered by BT.
18.3% UK availability. Check coverage at ee.co.uk.
Life is complicated. Hastings Direct Car Insurance is simple.
I love you.
Relationships are messy and complex and full on. Hastings Direct Car Insurance is simple.
Turn right.
Finding your way is hard.
Turn around.
But Hastings Direct Car Insurance is simple. Great cover, great price, and a great app that makes insurance that much simpler to get, check, and change. Hastings Direct. Simplicity is the best policy.
Exclusive international cricket live. Ireland take on South Africa. Direct from the county ground, Bristol. On talkSPORT 2.
Oh, that slap driven over extra cover for 6. Good Yorker. Superb Yorker. Even better fielding from Harry Tector. Oh, he's gone. What is that, an inch?
Oh, outside edge. Amanda Dussen is caught at short third. And McBride has a big one. And that is Riza Hendricks' 11th T20 International 50. He's got there from 32 balls.
Pick up from Markram, steps out to the offside and launches it over deep mid-wicket and out of the ground.
It's gone into the playground, so that might be a souvenir for some kid when they come back from their summer holidays. They might find a white kookaburra.
And straight to Harry Tector at mid-wicket. It was short of a length, and if he'd gone full-blooded at it, it probably would still be on its way to Somerset. He's at non-striker's end. Oh, they've got back-to-back wickets, and they've got Hendricks caught at point by Stirling. Oh, Stubbs has gone for this one. He's got it high, no distance at all. Who's underneath it? Well, the answer is Lorcan Tucker, the wicket-keeper's called everyone off. He's got low down and scooped it over gully for 4, Pretorius. So he finishes 21 from 7, Classen 6 from 7, and South Africa have posted 211 for 5. talkSPORT 2, bringing you international cricket this Wednesday evening. Yeah, 211 for 5 South Africa, so Ireland 212 at 10.6 and over is what they require to win this game. It won't have escaped your attention. It's not the only cricket going on this evening. The 100 has resumed this evening. The Welsh Fire taking on the Southern Brave down at Southampton. The Welsh Fire have not exactly lit it up so far this evening. With 7 balls of their innings to go, they're 92 for 7. Ben Duckett has got virtually half of that himself, 40 from 31 deliveries, before he was caught by James Vince off the bowling of Chris Jordan. And only 2 other players have made double figures. Ollie Pope made 10 from 10, and Ryan Higgins down the order, 11 from 18. So 2 wickets for Craig Overton, 2 wickets for Chris Jordan, Michael Hogan and Jake Lintott are the other men in the wicket column. Josh Cobb was run out in that innings, so not necessarily the best of starts for the Welsh Fire. I'd also tell you that the game itself didn't actually get off to the best of starts, because they had an enormous firework display and the smoke hung around the bowl at Southampton, so they actually started the game a few minutes late because no one could actually see what was going on. But hey, you know, such is life, and these things are sent to testers and all of that kind of stuff. Right, are we going to get some fireworks of our own? Hey, do you see what I did there? Paul Stirling is out in the middle, and he's twiddling that bat in the way that Paul Stirling does when he feels like he's on it. Keshav Maharaj, the spinner, is going to open up for South Africa. He is captaining the side this evening in the absence of David Miller. 4 inside the ring on the offside. Maharaj left arm around, takes Paul Stirling on the pad and just gently comes out on the onside for no run. Tim Murtagh, the former Ireland bowler, is with me. So Paul Stirling and left arm spin then to start us off.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of his strengths. I wouldn't be surprised if he looks to sweep him at some point pretty early on. There are 2 men up inside the ring there at sort of square leg and just behind square, so that is one of his shots. But yeah, hopefully, you know, from an Ireland point of view, they can get off to a good start here. Andy Balbirnie, as I said earlier, is turning himself into a very fine international batter as well.
Stirling punched to mid-off, well, long off, takes a comfortable single. Balbirnie is just in behind his first delivery, so 3 have gone. Just one on the board so far. Maharaj as captain. It is Balbirnie swinging it over the leg side on this occasion, and there are some short boundaries, but that towards deep backward square is quite long, and he's got down on one knee over the infield, and it's away, and it's the first boundary 4 of the Ireland innings. Really good shot from the Ireland skipper. They're 5 without loss.
Yeah, lovely shot. As we spoke about, those 2 men up inside the circle. These are Ireland's probably 2 best players of spin as well, so I'm slightly surprised that Maharaj has taken the first over, but I know he does that on a regular basis.
He sort of bowls this one quicker into the surface, in towards the thigh pad of Balbirnie on this occasion. Turns it on the leg side, and they'll take a single. So 6 without loss. Relatively calm so far. 5 balls of the over gone. Just get yourself off to a nice start. Just get everything working, all the moving parts in order. Maharaj to complete the first. Stirling goes inside out, over extra cover. The only question is it 4 or 6? Oh, I'll tell you what, he's not even going to get 4, because Rassie van der Dussen has got back and pulled it back inside the cover boundary, and Hendricks will get around, and they will get only 2 for that. Well, I have to say, I apologise, Paul Stirling, because I thought that was a minimum of 4. It's 2. It's 8 without loss here on talkSPORT 2 after the first over of the Ireland reply.
Yeah, I don't think he quite got as much of it as he would have liked. But good intent there, I think, against a spinner. They haven't let him settle. The first over can often slide by for only 3 or 4 runs, and you sort of burgle one in the bank there for the bowling team. But a couple of good shots from the Irish players, a good sweep shot, and then Paul Stirling, who's very strong over and through the offside. Just showing Maharaj that he won't be able to just run up and land a ball on a length and not have to worry about what the batsmen are doing. So decent start there from the Island boys. As you say, chasing 200, you can't give yourself too many balls to settle in, but you need a few.
Lungi Ngidi, right arm quick, is in and bowls to Balbirnie, pushes out to Klassen at short extra, and there is no run. Lungi Ngidi, of course, 5 for 39 in the T20 against England on this ground at Bristol, so good memories. That is his best T20 international bowling figures. He's only 5 wicket haul, and it came just a few days ago. He's turning on his way once again past the umpire, and it's down the leg side. Balbirnie just tries to help it on its way, but Rolly Black, the umpire, stretches out his arms, and it will be a wide through to Quentin de Kock, 9 without loss.
It'd be interesting to see what the South African fast bowlers do with the short ball here. We saw a few balls from the Irish seamers who are not as quick as the South Africans, really kind of skid through and take a couple of the South African batters by surprise. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a few short balls, certainly from these South African seamers throughout the course of this innings.
There is a slip in place for Ngidi. Oh, that was a drive ball is basically bowled there, and Balbirnie is obliged straight through cover all along the floor. It was just too full, and it was just too enticing for Balbirnie. Lovely cover drive, goes to the boundary, 13 without loss, Ireland.
I'll tell you something, this is a cracking wicket. That ball is just skidding onto the bat beautifully. Sort of as I said earlier, I think under the light sometimes in England, in English grounds, the ball can skid on a bit with maybe a bit of dew on the surface itself. So I think the Ireland boys will certainly be hoping that is the case, and it gets easier to bat on.
Ngidi bowls. Balbirnie's in behind this, pushing to mid-on, where Pretorius will field no run. You mentioned the lights. We can see the shadows, if you like, the four-way shadows of the players. The lights taking over, of course. It's been noticeable, actually, the last few nights. It seems to be getting darker that little bit earlier now. We're into the school holidays, but just the lights just starting to go that little bit earlier now, just a couple of minutes, night by night. Floodlights in effect. That's what, coming up 25 past 8 in Bristol. Oh, it's a nip-backer from Ngidi that beats Balbirnie's inside edge and beats Quentin de Kock and goes for 4, and it's 4 buys.
Tell you one man who would have enjoyed that was Lorcan Tucker. That's 1-1 between the two keepers. That's gone straight through him. Probably almost worse than Tucker's, to be honest. He's not had to move far, and not the best effort from Quinton de Kock. I think he's got any pads on there, so he probably didn't want to get a shin on it, and it kind of looked like it from that angle. But the Irish boys will take that is for sure.
Geedy goes in, it's down the leg side. Oh, he's done well on that occasion, Quinton de Kock, because Balbirnie tried to just graze it very, very fine down the leg side. I think it was a little brush off the pad. It goes down the leg side, and the keeper going away to his left-hand side stops it for going away for runs. Yes, he didn't bend his back particularly for the ball before. He did get down well on that occasion.
Yeah, I think he probably felt a bit embarrassed by the one before and had to put a bit more effort into that one. But yeah, this a nice start. 17 for without loss after 1.5 now.
Oh, that one's hit the middle of the bat as well. Pushed up to mid-on. Pretorius has done the fielding, but Balbirnie has got up to the non-striker's end to complete the single. And I'll say it again, without really taking too many risks, Ireland are going at 9 and over. 18 without loss they are after 2 overs. They're trying to make 212 to win this game, so that's 10.6 and over. But as we keep talking about, you can't do anything later on without a platform, so 9 and over for the first few. Thank you very much, you take that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to chase 200 over 200 in a international T20 game, this is probably one of the grounds where you'd back yourself to do it. As we say, it's quite a small ground. There's one side that's definitely noticeably shorter than the other, and a wicket that looks, fantastic and ideal for T20 cricket. I think the big thing is going to be how England play Shamsi. That's high quality spin has often been a bit of a downfall for the Irish batters. So I think when he comes on, that's going to be a real test for them.
Well, he's on yet because it's Wayne Parnell with his left arm seam. Left arm over and straight away Balbirnie. Oh, you beauty. Through extra cover, through straighter cover really. Orthodox cover. There's 2 men in the ring there and neither of them even dived. They simply turned around and said, are you getting it or shall I? It goes away for 4. Balbirnie to 14. South Africa have conceded another boundary. Ireland 22 without loss.
That's a lovely shot. As we said earlier, Balbirnie's really expanded his game in the last few years, and that's a cracking shot. These two fancy this.
Parnell in. Just slightly back of a good length on this occasion. Balbirnie's dropping it into the offside. Van der Dussen will do the fielding, and there is no run. We have seen some cover drives this evening. I've just got Alex Tudor in my head at the moment, giving it the old, if you want to drive by a car line. I can think of a few fast bowlers that wouldn't be overly impressed, but I tell you what, we've seen some cracking shots.
Yeah, that was another on the up, as I said, which shows what a good pitch this is.
Parnell in. Oh my goodness, Balbirnie comes down the pitch to meet him. He's trying to hit over mid-off, maybe extra cover. He's got nothing on that. He's very close to getting a feather, and it's not a million miles off of bowling him either. He gives himself a smidge of room, and well, if they put a thicker sticker on the sponsors on the stumps, he was in trouble there.
Yeah, I think that's a better line for Parnell. It's tighter to the stumps, as you say. It's just missed the top of that off stump, but that is a better line. Balbirnie's looked to try and give himself a bit of width as well.
Parnell in. Oh, Balbirnie's got himself in a horrible tangle. He spooned this one up, and it'll be taken by Pretorius at mid-on, and Ireland lose their first wicket. Balbirnie goes for 14 from 13 deliveries. It's 22 for 1. And it's one of those where he might have been caught in two minds. He ended up not really doing anything. He's tried to hit into the leg side. It's come right off of the toe end. He's got himself in a tangle, and it's an easy catch for Pretorius.
Yeah, I think he'll be disappointed there. That's not one of his strong shots particularly. He's gone against the angle of the left arm. I think he's such a strong player through the offside. I know the ball before almost bowled him, but I'm certainly no batsman, but I think he would have been better suited to keep trying to play it through the offside rather than go against the line of Parnell. But brings Lorcan Tucker to the crease. He's come in at 3 a few times for Ireland recently in T20 cricket. A very good striker of the ball, so be interesting to see how he goes on this pitch as well.
best of 84 in his 35 previous games, averaging 16 and a smidge, strike rate of 113.9. So, but as previously mentioned by Tim Murtagh, he's been down the order for a larger part of that. He's found himself up the order now. He's at the non-striker's end, and Paul Stirling, who's only faced now 4 deliveries, as Parnell has shaved one back into him, and there is half an appeal for LBW.
One of the worst appeals I've ever seen for something that looks pretty close.
And they have reviewed it. Stirling got himself in a little bit of a tangle. It was given not out by umpire Saggers for LBW. Parnell is adamant that had to be reviewed and it's out, and it has now been reviewed. And Paul Reynolds, the TV umpire, is going to have a job here. What's your first thought?
My first thoughts are that it's either pitched just outside leg stump or just missing leg stump, but it's close.
Well, there's certainly no bat involved. Well, sorry, I'll amend that. There's no bat involved before it hits the pad, because it comes straight off the flap of the pad onto the inside edge, so it's clearly pad first. Now, what I can tell you is, unlike the one we had in the first innings, I can see no leg stump, and it's just umpire's call on height, and Paul Stirling gets away with one. It was pitching in line, and it was just grazing the top of the bail, and therefore it stays umpire's call. South Africa don't lose a review, but Paul Stirling is still there, still 22 for 1.
Well, one thing is for sure, it was certainly worth a better appeal than the one the South Africans put in, but Stirling just escapes with one there. Luckily, umpire's call coming to his rescue.
Oh my goodness, he's come to meet Parnell on that occasion. He's hammered it to mid-off, so much so it's got to Maharaj so quickly they can't even take a single to a man on the edge of the 30-metre circle. End of the over. 3 overs gone, only 4 runs from that over. It was 18 after 2 overs. It's 22 for 1 after 3. Here on talkSPORT 2, Balbirnie the man to go for 14. Stirling 3 not out from 5, and Lorcan Tucker is yet to face a ball.
Yeah, shame that from an Irish point of view. As I said, Balbirnie looked in good nick, and both him and Paul Stirling looked like they fancied this total, and with the ball sliding on as well as it has been. Perhaps not quite the right option, but he'll be left to stew that in the dressing room. He'll get back up there and support the rest of the boys and give as much information as he can to the batters coming in. But this, as I said, this total certainly doesn't seem too far out of their reach.
Ngidi to start the 4th over, and Lorcan Tucker's first delivery. He's worked past Wayne Parnell at short fine leg inside the circle, and it's gone away for 4. There is very little margin for error on this pitch. 26 for 1.
Yeah, nice shot. Proper cricket shot, wasn't it? Just sort of tucked off his hip. But I think Lorcan Tucker's role here is going to have to be the aggressive one. I think sort of he doesn't want to just leave it all to Paul Stirling, and as we spoke earlier about the amount of weight that's on his shoulders carrying this batting lineup for a while. So, it'd be handy if Tucker could get off to a quick start here.
He's got a shortish ball and he's ridden the bounce and pops it round the corner to Parnell at short fine leg. Will be a single, so 5 off 2 balls, keep the scoreboard going, get Stirling back on strike. So imagine if nothing else, just Paul Stirling likes to be the man on strike from what I've seen him with Ireland and also with Middlesex as well. He's there to bat, and therefore he wants to be at the striker's end.
I'll tell you a story about Paul Stirling wanting to get on strike in a second just after this ball. It was I think before a T20 World Cup qualifying game against Bangladesh, if I'm right. I can't think of the player involved, but I'll tell you after this ball.
Righty-ho. Stirling waits, bat raised, goes across his stumps and hammers it over the fielder Rassie van der Dussen at square leg on the boundary, and it goes for 6. Stirling's got 9 from 6 balls, Ireland are 33 for 1.
Lovely shot, just a little step across to the offside. targeting that short leg side boundary, and he got the length that he wanted there, and that sailed into the seats. It's a lovely bit of timing from Paul Stirling. That's a dangerous player that we know he can be.
That's the thing now. The players, when they go early, so they're then set and have got that hitting base. And Rassie van der Dussen is out on the boundary. It's over his head, and Ngidi can't believe he's not caught it, but it's because Stirling's hit it so well. Ngidi in once again over the wicket, bowls a cutter. Stirling off the back foot, puts it over extra cover, wide mid-off almost, and Maharaj can't get back and prevent it going for 4. Paul Stirling was almost jumping in behind that, forcing it off the back foot, and he goes back-to-back boundaries. 6-4, Ireland 37 for 1.
That one's an even better shot because the pace was off it. He didn't really have the pace to work with it. He had to create a lot of that pace himself, and he did so. As you say, we're seeing from the highlights there, 2 feet off the floor. Fine shot over mid-off. But yeah, going back to that story about Paul Stirling, one team meeting before it came against Bangladesh, he was asked about a specific bowler. As I say, I can't remember the exact name of the bowler.
As Ngidi goes, it's a short ball. That's going to be a call of wide, I'm sure. But you can tell on the cheers that Rolly Black has widened the arms. 38 for 1.
But he had played against him in I think it was the Bangladesh Premier League a few times. It was a left armour. He had a certain thing about certain left armers that he quite fancied, and the coach sort of asked, Stirlo, you've played against such and such player, what do you think about him? And sort of in a very unassuming, he's very modest way, he just said, just make sure you're on strike when he comes on.
And Ngidi goes in, shortish ball to Stirling, help round the corner. Van der Dussen will field on the square leg boundary for just a single. 39 for 1. Stirling goes to 14 for 8.
No information on what he bowled or what his slow balls were. He just said, just make sure you're on strike when he comes on to bowl. That's a sort of inner confidence that he does have. As I said, he's such an unassuming, modest kind of guy. It's not the kind of thing that you'd expect to hear come out of his mouth, and we all kind of took a couple of seconds just to react to what he had said and then burst into laughter.
And Ngidi goes in. Tucker gets the ball bouncing sort of waist high, low chest height. In behind this, almost back foot defensive really, pushing it back down the pitch. And it ends the over. 4 gone, 39 for 1. Ireland trying to make 212 to win this game, so it's 173 more runs from 96 balls after South Africa posted 211 for 5. And just to give you a comparison, doesn't mean anything, but just as a comparison, Ireland are actually 10 runs ahead of where South Africa were after 4 overs. Ireland 39 for 1, South Africa 29 for 1. As I say, you can read into that what you like.
Yeah, it is early days, but I think Paul Stirling's going to have to play the Hendricks role here.
Short ball down the leg side from Parnell, and Stirling isn't able to catch up with that one, and it goes through to Quinton de Kock, no run.
He's going to have to score probably 60, 70, 80. I think if Ireland have got any chance of chasing this down. But he's given himself a good start. He's got his eye in. He's obviously seeing the ball really well. And it's a classic case with Stirling. You just want him to bat 10 overs and entertain you. So, hopefully he can tonight.
Parnell, left arm over the wicket, down the leg side, and Stirling has got this one. Oh, and you might have just heard the crack as it hits the advertising hoarding at fine leg. One bounce. It was a shortish ball. It looked like he was sort of going on the rib cage armpit kind of line, Parnell there, but got it a little bit wrong, and it was able to free his arms there, Stirling, and he just spun on it and absolutely pinged it out the middle of the bat. It's 4 more to the Irish total.
I think they're so wary of giving Stirling any kind of width here. That's one of his strengths through the offside, that he's perhaps overcompensated.
43 for 1. Stirling's hit in front of them on the pads, and umpire Saggers raises the figure for LBW. Stirling is making the signal for the review straight away as well. Now, I don't know if that's I'm senior pro and therefore I'm going to call one, or if he genuinely thinks that there is a good reason to review it. He reviewed it without going and talking to Lorcan Tucker. He pretty much called it on his own at the time, So Paul Reynolds will get the look. I have to say, he looked horribly in front of all three.
It did, unless he's got a little inside edge, which doesn't look like on the initial replay. And I think he's struggling, although that's...
I mean, it's hit the top of
potentially
the
high.
flap.
He's not the tallest man.
There's no bat involved. That is what we can confirm.
This could be umpire's call on height, which, you know, is not going to go his way, but that's the only thing I think he can hope for here.
It's pitched in line, impact in line, wickets hitting. Stirling is out. LBW to Wayne Parnell. I have to say, it looked a bit of an optimistic review, that one. And Stirling goes for 18 from 11 deliveries. It means that Wayne Parnell has got his second. He's bowled 9 deliveries and taken 2 for 8. Ireland are 43 for 2. And we're in the 5th over of their innings.
Yeah, shame. I think he probably did review it because, you know, he is Ireland's best batsman, and there was any half suspicion that, you know, it might have been missing the stumps, and he probably did have to gamble and take that review. But it brings Harry Tector to the crease, who we've spoken a lot about today. Gives him a lot of time to initially get himself in with a few balls and then show the cricketing world what talent he does have. So good opportunity for him to push his case further again.
Absolutely. If you're listening to us in the Caribbean, or you've got some Caribbean cricketing affinity, he signed up for Barbados for the CPL. So this is what you'll be getting.
Is he not playing that other competition as well, the 60 or that new competition that I know not a lot about?
Yes,
I read.
Yes, it's an interesting competition, that one. I remember getting the news of that when we were on air earlier this summer. First ball from Parnell is actually a wide half volley, and it's been driven into the covers, and Rassie van der Dussen, diving away low to his side, is able to stop it. And that one looked as if it was disappearing away, but Rassie van der Dussen's done really well to get down first of all, but also get his right hand out and prevent that going for runs. In fact, actually, they did take a single. Tucker is now on strike, 44 for 2. Parnell in, and Tucker has just popped him back over his head. One bounce for 4 over long on. Thank you very much, easy as you like. Tucker goes to 9, it's 48 for 2.
How about that for a shot? Skip down the wicket. Parnell is by no means slow, so he trusts the bounce of this pitch, and yeah, lovely shot with a full kind of flourish and a straight bat. You know, great shot.
Do you know, it was pretty low on the bat as well, and it still screamed away. He's in once again, is Parnell, and Tucker has put him back over his head for a maximum.
Tell you what, that wasn't low on the bat, that is for sure. Fantastic shot, almost sort of identical circumstance, a couple of steps down the wicket. But this one he met with the full face of the bat, and that's gone flying over long off the 6.
And that is 5 overs done and dusted. So 54 for 2. Ireland, they're trying to make 212 to win this game. That's me done and dusted for the time being. Neil Manfield will pick up the ball by ball.
Thank you very much indeed, Andrew McKenna. Well, I have to say that Jared Kimber and I, off air, were just saying that Ireland could win this game, and it wasn't based on what's happened in the last couple of overs. It was actually between innings, because I thought that Jared was, overly cautious about Ireland's prospects, and I think that South Africa started obviously as favourites. I say that obviously because they're the higher ranked team. And I think they're probably still favourites, but another over begins. New over begins from Dwayne Pretorius. The first delivery is pushed down to long on for a single. But Jared, when you said that that 211, what was the word you used, on the high side of par?
Yeah, high par.
High par. I mean, I guess that's right. But you know, I mean, it just takes a couple of players to come off in in a big way, and Harry Tector could be one of them. Paul Stirling, unfortunately for Ireland, has gone. Next delivery again, pushed down towards long on for a single. But they're going at 10 and over. I know things will slow down after the power play, but I like Ireland here, and I'm not a gambler, but I would be interested to know what the odds were at this stage, and I might even fish out a pound or two.
Yeah, they got long batting order as well, so there's a lot of things in their favour.
Pretorius in once more, and that one is driven, not timed, out to Stubbs at cover, and there's no run.
I don't know if you saw it when they put the team sheet up. I think Tim would like this. They had Murtagh as an all-rounder, but they had him below Andy McBride, who was above him in the order. I love it when that... I remember when I was working with Scotland, when Tom Sowell got... I think he got put up as batter or all-rounder, and he started, running around telling everyone in the change room. Players love it when they get those little things. There's no way Mark wouldn't have mentioned that.
No, that's true. It's driven down the ground towards long on and Lungi and Gidi fields, and it's just a single once again. It's a bit like the people that operate the television graphics, and they say, I am not putting up right arm fast.
Yeah.
No, I'm going, okay, I'll give you RMF, but not RF, and maybe not RM.
Was it Prosper Utsea who they ended up with right arm slow after he couldn't bowl off spin anymore?
Well, he was banned for a while, wasn't he? That's driven, lofted over mid-off and down to the boundary for a one bounce four. I tell you what, we've seen enough of Harry Tector and Lorcan Tucker in this summer of Irish cricket to know what they're capable of doing. And hasn't been the best of summers for Lorcan Tucker, but he's played a couple of cameos without going on to make the 50s and 60s that can really affect the course of a T20 game. That was a knuckleball from Dwayne Pretorius, by the way, and now down on one knee, and he's slogged it over deep backward square for 6. Pick up, slog sweep.
Last two balls was a very full knuckleball that he purposely waited for and then got under to hit over the fielder. This one was a little bit quicker, straighter, and he walked across and swept it for 6. I mean, that's some talent. I think everyone in Ireland cricket is just waiting for him to make runs consistently. But you watch him play those two against a decent bowler in Pretorius, maybe more of a fifth bowler, but a very good fifth bowler. And you do wonder what the limit is for someone like Tucker. Beautiful striker of the ball. 26 of 8. Does he think he's batting at the death?
Well, you know what's interesting, and I stopped short of being directly critical of the formulaic approach that South Africa have had for so many decades towards white ball cricket. But the difference in the power play is that South Africa were 47 for 2, Ireland are 67 for 2. And so my point about the South African team is that sure, they caught up, and they often do. They keep wickets in hand and they catch up. But they batted so much within themselves in the power play that I even when they finished with 211, I did think, whatever happens at the end of this game, what will be ignored and shouldn't be is what South Africa did in the power play, because I thought they were really conservative. Now, Brace Shamsi, no surprise, he's coming in to bowl the first over after the power play. Left arm wrist spinner. First delivery is just pushed gently out towards Heinrich Klaassen at deep square leg for a single.
I think this is the game, because I think the pitch is so good and their batting lineup is decent enough that they can continue to hit. There's any dew might be the other thing as well. I don't know if you get dew in Bristol. That's probably a Macca question, really, isn't it, more than anything else? It looks wet to me, but this could be the game, because
here's Shamsi, goes for the reverse sweep, does Lorcan Tucker, and doesn't make contact, hits him on the pad outside the leg stump. Being a wicketkeeper, we spoke about this, his low centre of gravity, and he's a really good sweeper. Ian O'Brien was talking about it during the New Zealand series, how it just is a thing that wicketkeepers are good sweepers of the ball and reverse sweepers, but not on that occasion.
He just got hit in the elbow, so he may disagree with you right at the moment, but yeah, he definitely likes to sweep the ball.
Here is Shamsi once again, and that one turned away off the pads down to short fine, and they go through for a single, and there might be an overthrow. They're thinking about it, but Harry Tector says no. Ireland remains 69 for 2.
But I just think if Shamsi has one of his normal games, it's going to be very hard. That score's going to look a little bit higher, isn't it? And any wickets as well in the middle overs, he can put pressure on Ireland, are going to be huge.
Clipped away down towards long on now by Harry Tector. We've had 3 balls, that's a single, 70 for 2. We've had 3 balls from Tabraiz Shamsi.
4 balls.
4 balls. And
you said it with such confidence, so I had to look at the scoreboard again.
4 balls, and it just... you can almost hear the words in the Irish team meeting yesterday evening about which bowlers to target and which ones not to. This one flicked away off the pads again out towards short fine leg, fielded by Lungi Ngidi, dives to his right, and they go through for a single. And maybe it was just, let's respect the first over or the first 2 overs and see how it goes, and depending on the situation, then maybe we can target the 3rd over. But there's no question that they're, again, just playing. I know it's the first over after the power play as well, and there's more fielders on the boundary. Having said that, it was a very powerfully hit sweep shot out to deep mid-wicket, fielded by Tristan Stubbs, and there is just a single. Well, only 5 runs off that first over from left-arm spinner Tabraiz Shamsi. Ireland need 212 for victory, and they're going along rather nicely. 7 overs gone, 72 for 2.
Yeah, what Shamsi does is he creates a mass problem for the rest of the innings, right? Because if he can go he's got 5 runs in that first over. If he can go for 32 over his 4 overs, it means that they're really going to have to take someone else down rather than just going at the run rate off all the bowlers. So if they do take that option, which is fine, they get themselves a little bit behind the game. I think they're more likely to probably spend 2 overs having a look at him and then try and score off him would be the more likely thing, especially if that ball is as wet as it looks like it might be getting. The wrist spinner is the one who's going. I would have thought tactically you would hold Shamsi back a little bit, and you would have bowled someone else in that 7th over. But I think part of the reason that they want him to bowl early on is before the ball gets too wet. Just looking at the grass here, it could just be a trick of the light, Manners, but it looks wet to me.
Well, Andrew McKenna's just getting onto the geometer.
Oh, he's an expert
as we speak, and he'll give us a dew
PhD in dew
measurement. It does look damp, you're quite right. Keshav Maharaj into the attack, and it's immediately slapped to extra cover and caught by Dwayne Pretorius. Well, it wasn't Maharaj's most obviously wicket-taking delivery. It was a little too short, but I guess it did bounce a bit more than Harry Tector was expecting, and he stepped back to cut it. And in the end, he's just sort of got underneath it, and all he could do was launch it to extra cover. That is a massive disappointment.
Yeah, I think it was probably just too straight to cut in the end, wasn't it? He really tried to force it. It was a very, very short ball. I wonder why he didn't try and pull it or even just paddle it around the corner. But yeah, he opened himself up, and that's disappointing for Ireland because they've been playing so well, and they've had that one slow over, and as you said, it wasn't a good delivery. Maharaj is not going to be talking about that for the rest of his life.
Jared, we've got a couple of minutes now, maybe 90 seconds before the new batter arrives. We're going to ask you about this new league that Harry Tector's been signed up for, the 6 thing in the Caribbean. What's it called? The Super 6?
The 60?
The 60? Yeah. Explain it to us.
The 10 over league in the West Indies.
Well, it's not 10 overs, is it?
Okay. The 60 ball league that's in the West Indies, is that what you're asking about?
Is it 60
I know
balls?
you've now confused me so much that...
Yes, I'm asking you about the 6. What's it called?
Yeah, it's like I think they're
the 60. Right.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to come up with another way of making money, the CPL. And they've got all the best players available at that point. They've got all the infrastructure in place. Major League Cricket comes along fairly soon, and I think they're just looking at another way of developing their brand.
Next delivery from Maharaj is pushed away by Gareth Delaney for a single, and he's off the mark first ball. So is it how does it work? What's the playing regulations?
Well, I'll read
playing
them.
Conditions.
No, Macca's going to come on and explain it fully. Macca knows everything about it.
Each team has 6 wickets. So after the 6th wicket, they're all out. It is 60 balls.
Maharaj in again and driven off the back foot straight to cover. No run, 73 for 3.
You bowl 30 balls from one end and then 30 from the other.
Which they should have done in the 100, but that's...
The 30 balls are delivered as 5 separate overs with no bowler being able to bowl more than 2 in the innings.
Sweep shot, pick up, sweep shot, hit very nicely indeed over backward square leg over the head of Rassie van der Dussen. And that is a beautiful piece of timing from Lorcan Tucker. Tell you what, Harry Tector and Paul Stirling, all the talk before the run chase began, but Lorcan Tucker is 34 off 13.
One I do like, if you don't bowl your deliveries within the allocated time, then
you have to down a run punch.
No, a fielder gets removed, so not pulled into the circle. They actually take a fielder, so you go a man short.
Short and wide outside the off stump here from Maharaj, looking to counteract the sweep shot, and it's cut rather than swept to Clarkson at cover, no run.
However, one I don't like to finish with, the mystery free hit, which is voted for by fans, and on that ball, the batter can't be dismissed by the bowler. So it's basically a fan interaction vote.
Here is Maharaj, and right up in the block hole. That's nicely bowled, just outside the off stump. 2 full to drive. Delaney 1 off 2. Tucker 35 off 14. 8 overs gone, 80 for 3. How does the crowd tell the batter when this mystery?
Well, I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work. There is one other thing that I missed, by the way, and that is the power play. Each team has 2 power play overs. They can unlock a third power play if they hit 2 sixes inside the first 12 balls of the innings. It's a computer game in real life.
Now the listeners may understand why I'm so discombobulated about the playing conditions and the
You mean
rules
you're a
and
man
regs.
of a certain age who's never played computer games?
Well, there's that as
Pong?
well.
You played Pong? No? Okay.
Sweep shot and a miss, and a polite appeal, but a nod out, says umpire Martin Saggers. 80 for 3. Yeah, do you remember Pac-Man? Do you remember Pac-Man?
Yes.
With the original video game?
And Miss Pac-Man?
You used to be able to make your way to a target and get an extra 5,000 bonus points. Sounds a bit like that. It's Shamsi. Continuing, left arm wrist spin, punched off the back foot down towards long on. They ran the first hard, but decided against the second. 212 the target for Ireland, going nicely, 81 for 3.
The voting thing is similar to what happens in Formula E, where you can vote your favourite driver to have a speed boost. That's where I'm assuming they got the idea
electric
from.
racing cars, right? Not scale electrics.
Yeah, it's normal racing cars, but yeah, electric, not.
And how do they give these cars a boost?
Someone presses a button?
Okay, right, I'm out of my comfort zone. Here is Shamsi once again, and it's pitched nicely, full up to Gareth Delaney. Drives the ball down towards wide-ish long on. Shamsi certainly not short of confidence, even when things aren't going well, but things are going particularly well, and he took a 5-wicket haul, a career best in the third T20. He's given himself some go faster stripes in the left-hand side of his head to celebrate that. He does enjoy an inventive haircut. That's a ripping leg spinner from Shams. He turns into the pads of Lorcan Tucker as he tries to reverse sweep once again, and it's a leg bye. 130 runs to win from 68 balls. 129 runs to win now from 68 balls. Coming up to the halfway point of the innings, South Africa made 211 for 5. Fourth consecutive half century for Riza Hendricks. Sweep shot once more from Gareth Delaney. Oh, up goes the finger. I thought it might have pitched outside leg stump. Seemed to me that Shabraze Shamsi was very excited about the appeal. Not too much excitement from Quinton de Kock. It was more of a dutiful follow of the appeal from the keeper, it seemed to me. And, not only has Martin Saggers given Gareth Delaney out, but so did Lorcan Tucker, because he sent him on his way as well when he asked whether he might use a review.
Yeah, I think it was definitely worth a review, just looking at that, because I thought my original, just trying to have a look, it looked like it's a wrong one to me, and it's pitched on middle stump, and it's spinning across. So it wasn't straightening at all. It was doing the opposite of straightening. It had to have pitched on leg stump to hit off stump if he was getting any spin at all, and it certainly did spin. It's a bizarre decision not to review it, I would have thought. I mean, there was one appeal. Quinton de Kock probably didn't appeal because he saw it was the wrong one. Delaney clearly questioned, and that's a huge error. I mean, South Africa are now well on top in the game.
Clipping off stump at most, isn't it?
I don't even think it was clipping off stump. I think it might have just missed.
Yeah.
I think they might have really missed a trick there.
Well, Curtis Campher comes to the crease now with, as it always does, the run chase, well, mostly does. When you're falling behind at this stage of the innings, it can start to increase at quite a rate, the asking rate. 83 for 4 now, Ireland. Shamsi in once again. Curtis Campher comes forward. His first delivery, pushes it straight back to the bowler. Shamsi fields and tosses it back to Quinton de Kock. So Ireland will feel that they're losing the initiative, and South Africa will feel that they are seizing it. But here we go. Talk us through the Hawkeye replay.
Pitched on middle and off, really, even further than I thought across, and spinning past the stumps. I thought it was a wrong, and it doesn't really appear to have spun. It's just gone across with the arm as much as anything. Obviously, Lorcan Tucker saw something different than we did. I think Martin Saggers, I'm not even sure Shabay Shamsi was that positive it was out. Because he appeals at everything.
Well, I mean, he went up loudly, but he didn't have the kind of follow-up that, he
didn't have the little dance moves that he sometimes does. Yeah.
Maharaj continues, and they've chopped away, backs away, give himself a lot of room, Lorcan Tucker, outside the off stump, and he chops it to Klaasen on the covered boundary.
Yeah, just the last couple of overs, we've seen a lot of singles and just the 1-6, a few dot balls as well. I'm not sure Lorcan Tucker really talked Gareth Delaney out of that, looking at that replay. I can't lip read, but it looked like that Delaney was like, it's out, isn't it?
Here is bowled him, hit the top of off stump, cut, backs away, does Curtis Campher, looking to cut through the offside, and it goes straight on with the arm from Maharaj and hits the top of off stump. 84 for 5 now, Ireland, and suddenly the wheels are falling off, and there's sparks coming from the chassis as the car is dragging itself down the motorway. Now they're going to have to try and get some wheels back on this run chase. Of all the slow motion replays that I've seen in cricket, that is definitely top 5 for me. A replay of the consultation between two batsmen talking about whether to review or not. I thought that was absolutely brilliant production.
Yeah, there's a baseball YouTuber called John Boy, and he takes all those sorts of things and he does lip syncing on them. And if he's watching this game, he does cricket as well. If he's watching this game, he will recreate that, so we'll be able to go back later and see what he thinks Delaney said. I'm not sure how he is with lip syncing Irish accents. But
I assumed that it was Lorcan Tucker who said, "No, mate, I think you were absolutely dead there." But in fact, on the replay, we could see that it was Delaney going, "I reckon I'm dead. What do you think?" No, I'm definitely gone.
I mean, he had one foot off the pitch, didn't he? As if to go, I don't even know we're having this conversation. Clearly, I'm out. Look, we said the spinners might be the difference. I think Ireland are going to be a little bit disappointed. They've lost 2 wickets to the cut shot from Maharaj here, both of which probably not the ideal balls to cut. And not blaming Curtis Campher, that one did skid on a little bit more, but that's now 2 wickets from that, and realistically they've also given a wicket away just by not reviewing what it was a fairly obvious review. At the very least, I think it was only ever going to be clipping the outside of off stump. So a horrendous patch for Ireland here again. And how many times this summer do we sit here going, Ireland have got a really good chance of winning this, they might even be ahead of the game, and then they have a bad period that drags them down. It just seems to be happening
games.
Almost every game.
And I don't know what the players feel like in the Irish top and middle order, but I particularly enjoy the flexibility and the switching of positions. It's almost like a sort of under 13 team where the coach says, no, you batted 5 last game, so you have to bat 8 this game. Okay, you didn't bat last game, you can bat 3 this time. But they do. I mean, they are really mixing and matching. George Dockrell has batted 5. He's coming in at 7 today. Andy McBride in the one day has batted at 3. He's going to come in, well, I presume next at number 8. And Curtis Campher, he's batted 8, and he came in at 6 today. So there's lots of mixing and matching. Maharaj is right into his delivery stride. He's literally getting into the cock to deliver the ball, and then Dockrell backed away, and he apologised. Something distracted, something flew into his eye, whatever it was, and Maharaj goes back to the top of his run-up. A man of great peace and tranquility, Keshad Maharaj, and bowls the next delivery, and it's mistimed by Dockrell down towards mid-off. The first Hindu to play for South Africa is Keshav Maharaj. Proud and devout. Here he is once more, and a slog sweep. Well, just a powerful sweep, actually. And it's hit so hard from Lorcan Tucker that there are two men out, that deep square and deep mid-wicket. Probably no more than 30 yards between them. And it's just split the two and hit the rope for four.
He hit it so hard that apparently it hypnotised them, because either of them could have stopped that easily, but he must have found the exact gap, because they both looked at each other and decided it was the other person's one. So that's a freebie for Ireland there, but good timing.
It was, yeah. I mean, it probably deserved four, although, as you said, probably should have been cut off. Next delivery, quicker one from Maharaj, fired in at leg stump, nudged away for a single on the leg side. Dockrell, 1 off 1. Lorcan Tucker's having an absolute screamer here, and I mean that in a good way. 42 off 20 balls, and you know, I'm not sure that he's edged one. They've all come out in the middle. He's had no good fortune. He's made all of those runs in glorious style. As now it's lofted off the back foot down to long on. Tristan Stubbs makes extremely good ground. The 22-year-old running away to his left, and then has to slide tackle the ball, takes it on the body. They've come back for two, and Ireland trying to get the run chase back on track. 10 overs gone. It's not that far off track. The 5 wickets down doesn't help. Lorcan Tucker needs to go on and double his score, and then others need to chip in with 15s and 20s, and they can get this. They need 121 off the last 10 overs. That sounds a lot, but it's a small, high-scoring ground, and enough from me. Tim Murtagh and Andrew McKenna will pick up the story.
Thank you very much, Manners. Shamsi will start the new over. All Dockrell's pushed it out on the leg side and set off for a non-existent single. Well, at least in the minds of Lorcan Tucker, because he was still leaning on his bat at the non-striker's end. Dockrell's thrown out the anchor and managed to get back, and Shamsi, it was himself who went after the ball, but Lorcan Tucker's run pretty much a single there, because he's gone halfway and then come back halfway. But there's nothing in the book.
Yeah, not been a great few overs off we've had there, Macca, has it?
No.
Irish lads have lost a few wickets. That's a good shot.
That's a lovely shot from Dockrell. Shamsi is in, and he's just pinged it back over the bowler's head. Couple of bounces and away for four. I don't think we've actually mentioned tonight is Dockrell's 99th T20 international for Ireland, so nice little moment for him. He'll hopefully get to 100 on Friday in the second, but that's a nice little moment for his 99th.
He still looks about 23 years old as well. Yeah, nice shot. As we said earlier, sort of with George Dockrell, his batting has come on a lot in the last few years. But interestingly enough, you know, South Africa are only 80 off 10 overs, 80 for 2. That's a difference, those 3 wickets.
Oh, it's another lovely shot. Shamsi's gone in and given him a little bit of air at roundabout leg stump, maybe even just outside. And it's been launched back over the bowler's head over long on, and Dockrell now has 12 from 5 balls faced. The 4 was lovely. That 6 is absolutely gorgeous, and it brings up the 100 as well. 101 on the board for 5 wickets for Ireland, and we're in the 11th over.
Lovely shot, even better than that one before. He looks in good nick here, George.
That one's slightly more agricultural, if we're honest, as he gets himself in a bit of a tangle hitting to mid-off. Maharaj will field no run.
They just need to sort their running out, these two. They've tried to run each other out a couple of times in this over. But yeah, you know, as we said, South Africa 80 for 2 after 10. It's just those extra 3 wickets that...
Well, Shamsi's down the leg side, and that's a help yourself ball. And it's been flicked away by Dockrell, and Ngidi at fine leg can't get around. He was having to go to his right hand side to go even finer. I remember Paul Stirling playing a very similar shot to that earlier on. 2 leg side-ish from Shamsi, and he's hit away for 4 more.
Yeah, because they're up with the rate. You know, they're in a position where they would want to be runs-wise. Just perhaps lost 2 more than they would have liked at this stage.
105 for 5 will become 106 for 5 as Dockrell hits to long on for just a single. 11 overs gone. 106 for 5 here on talkSPORT 2. The target 212. Just a reminder, if you like your cricket and if you're listening to Ireland against South Africa in a T20 international on a Wednesday night, I'm taking it as read you do, then you probably want to be listening to our dedicated cricket show. It's called The Cricket Collective. It comes out every Tuesday evening on talkSPORT 2 on the radio. If you don't hear it and you want to download it as a podcast, well, then you can go to the following on feed and you can hear what Neil Manthorpe and Steve Harmison will be talking about in the world of cricket on a regular basis. You can never get too much manners in your life, and so he and Harmy each week will bring you all of that action. Maharaj starts the new over. Dockrell will hit to long off. Markram will field for a single. 107 for 5.
Yeah, it's difficult for these two. They haven't really got many balls here to sort of get themselves going. Obviously, Lorcan Tucker's seeing the ball very well. What's he, 42 off 20 balls, so he's just going to have to keep going as he has been.
Oh, under edge from Tucker, just wide of his own stumps. It'll go down to fine leg to Parnell, and they'll take a single. Tucker goes to 43, 108 for 5, but that was not far away from the off stump. By the way, next week's Cricket Collective on Tuesday, just a small matter of an exclusive interview with Ben Stokes. So, you know, just a little mic drop from the boys there. Maharaj in. Dockrell gives himself a little bit of space to the leg side. It's almost sort of Yorker length, actually. He squeezed it to short third for a single. 109 for 5.
He's got a bit of time on his hands, Stokes, doesn't he? Not playing in the 100, getting himself ready for the South Africa Test Series. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to listen to.
Absolutely. Maharaj. Tucker threatened to go a long way across his stumps to pull into the leg side. So Maharaj went wider. It's hammered into the covers, and the man in the ring on the offside, who is Dwayne Pretorius, I think might have been done by an old wicket end there, because it's gone through him, and they will take a single. I mean, it was a pretty hard hit ball, but it's one that probably should be stopped.
You're being generous to him there.
Oh no, he played for Notts a few times, that's why. On this occasion, Maharaj is in. Dockrell comes down the pitch. Maharaj sees him coming, throws it very wide of off stump. Dockrell manages to bail out, and this occasion Pretorius does the fielding, and there's no run.
As a man who's misfielded many balls in his life, I would have been giving him a filthy look if that was off my bowling.
Oh, Dockrell has hammered this one back at Maharaj. Goes through the bowler in his follow through, and they will take a single. 101 is needed from 48. Dockrell goes to 20. Tucker has 44. The end of 12 overs, 111 for 5. And that is KF Maharaj's 4 overs in the book already. He's managed to get through 4 overs out of the 12 that's been sent down, and he's taken 2 for.
That is very smart from the captain. Get your overs in early before any of the potential carnage in the last 8 overs. No, he's obviously a fantastic spinner with a lot of experience, and he's taken a couple of key wickets there in the middle and kind of stemmed Ireland's flow. But these two have started nicely. They're putting together a nice little partnership. They're probably going to have to bat together for, what have we got, 8 overs left? They're probably going to have to bat together for another 3 or 4 at least. If Ireland are going to get anywhere close to chasing this target down. But they've certainly started brightly and sort of kept that rate, in check. What have we got? 101 runs to win of 48 balls is not unmanageable. So we'll see how Pretorius goes this over.
He's bowling around the wicket to the right-handed Dockrell. Goes full and into the toes. Dockrell will turn it on the leg side to Stubbs. Oh, that ball, as it goes in, it doesn't bounce at all, as he tries to throw it in a couple of wickets short of Quinton de Kock. It hits the deck and rolls. And Quinton de Kock doesn't have a prayer of stopping that. Fortunately, someone is backing it up. It's 112 for 5.
That's the old look like you've thrown it really badly, but actually try and land it in the wicket ends and get that ball a bit softer than it is. Something that most pros will try and do at some point.
Pretorius is in. Tucker is coming to meet it, turning it into a sort of a shin-high full toss, but it's only a single, and it's fielded out on the leg side boundary, and again the throw comes booming back into Quinton de Kock. He ends up on his knees, stopping that one behind the stumps, but it is just a single. 99 needed from 46, 113 for 5.
Yeah, it's obviously a plan that he's come up with here, Pretorius. He's round the wicket to both right-handers, just trying to jam them up for room, sort of stick it in towards their heel.
Oh, he's gone short ball on this occasion. Gets quite big on Dockrell, but he's swung it all the way into the seats over long on for a 6. Dockrell goes 27 from 14. Ireland are 119 for 5.
That's what he's added to his game, a bit of power. A pretty good bumper, quite high. Tricky to kind of control for a batsman, but George has swatted that over long on, and as I said, it's something that he's definitely added to his game in his last couple of years. He's been in the gym, spent a bit of time on those biceps.
That one's a bit uglier as it comes off the inside half of the bat and goes to Klassen at deep square leg for just a single. Just as you were saying the words swatted, that was exactly the word that came into my mind for that shot. It was sort of a flat bat really, but he didn't half make contact with it. 120 for 5.
Yeah, as I said, they're keeping the scoring rate in check here. It's up at 12s, but that's not unmanageable for a short period of time.
Especially with deliveries like that. Pretorius has served up a waist-high full toss, a foot down leg side, and Tucker has hit it away through wide long leg for 4, and he goes to 49 from 24. It's 124 for 5.
It's fine adjustment, not the greatest ball Pretorius is ever going to bowl, but Tucker's seeing the ball so well at the moment. He swings that one over the leg side as well, and Geedy sticks out a big left mitt but doesn't manage to parry it back, and the ball goes under those temporary stands there, and that's lost. So I think umpire Martin Saggers is going to have to make a journey to the ball bag and find a new one, but
well, if Tucker's seeing it that well, just send him out to go and have a little look under the stand himself. It wasn't a great delivery. He got what it deserved, and it goes away for 4. While they're doing that, by the way, the Cricket Collective next week, as I mentioned, that exclusive interview with Ben Stokes. Just during the interval, I was having a little look on social media, and quite a few South African reporters and journalists were all making the point about Riza Hendricks, and that's now 4 50s in a row. Of course, he's basically opening because Temba Bavuma is not playing due to injury. And there's quite a few South African journalists asking the question, where's this leaving Temba Bavuma in long term for South African T20 cricket? Maybe, I'm just throwing it out there, maybe that's something that Manners and Harmy can have a little discussion on the Cricket Collective next week after this series. Next delivery from Pretorius. He's round the wicket, but he's served up an off-stump half volley, and Tucker is down the pitch, launching it for 6 over mid-off, and it's his 50. 55 from 25 balls, and a cracking 50 from Lorcan Tucker as he takes the score to 130 for 5 with his 3rd T20 International 50.
He has struck the ball so well. Fantastic shot there again. It was not quite in the arc, but he's sort of given himself a bit of room and opened up that offside. Mid-off is up inside the circle. He's got power to burn here, Lorcan Tucker, and it's the role that Ireland needed. He came in at 3, almost in a sort of old school sort of pinch hitter kind of role, to look to take the attack to the South Africans in the power play, which he did really from ball 1. So yeah, he's seeing the ball fantastically well. 55 off 25 balls. It's normally the kind of strike rate that you'd see from Paul Stirling or someone, Andy Balbirnie, up the top of the order. But yeah, from an Irish point of view, keep going, more of this, more of the same. As we said, if these two can take it deep into the 17th, 18th over, needing 30 or something off those last 2 overs, then they're in with a shout.
Well, it's 82 from 40. So what am I talking about? 46 from 22 is the equation.
It's a partnership.
It's 2. Sorry, that is the partnership. It is a. I wish I could read a scoreboard. I'd make this job so much easier. 82 from 42 is the requirement. The partnership is going at 2 a ball as well. So it's basically 2 a ball is this kind of equation. But as we're saying, the boundaries are not enormous. If you've got 2 guys who are set, and Lorcan Tucker is most definitely set, as he's got 55 from 25, 5 4s and 2 6s. He's scoring at 220 his strike rate. And George Dockrell's going at 186.
Yeah, exactly. As you say, 2 a ball, that's pretty much what they need. But South Africa will know from a point of view, if they get 1 wicket, it kind of breaks open one end, and that could be it. But
Parnell's just served up another one outside of off stump. Markram has done his mate a favour there, down at long off. Good work away to his left-hand side to stop that going for 4. He pulls it back in. It's still 2. 133 for 5 as Tucker goes to 57.
Yeah, keep chewing these runs off, keep knocking them off. Clever bit of field placing there. It is mid-off quite wide. It's obviously looking to go wide of the off stump to Tucker, and had his field set accordingly.
Again, drivable down to long off. Markram is straight there, so it is just a single for Tucker. 134 for 5. Tucker goes to 58 from 27, and that is the 50 partnership between these two. 25 balls. Dockrell's got 29 of them, Tucker 21 of them. Tucker's contribution in this partnership, these 21 have come from just 9 balls faced. Dockrell 16 from 29. Get on with it, mate. Bit of a buzz around Bristol. There's something special happening here. Parnell is in. Dockrell's given himself the opportunity to get the dancing shoes on to try and come down, meet that, drive it through the covers. Parnell just goes that little bit wider. It's through to Quentin de Kock, no run.
Yeah, there are a few Irish fans in, aren't there? I've seen quite a few of the sort of friends and family of the various team players in the stands supporting their boys. So, this would go down as certainly one of their biggest and best wins if they can scrape across the line here.
Parnell, full toss, and Dockrell has climbed into that one, back over the bowler's head, and it lands on the curtain covering the seats, and it's 6 more. Dockrell this time with the maximum, 35 from 18. Ireland a 140 for 5.
I used to give George Dockrell abuse about not being able to hit the ball off the square about 5 years ago, and now he is absolutely spanking it all round the ground here at Bristol. Lovely shot again, straight into die. Just not the greatest ball that Parnell's ever bowled, but great connection again from George Dockrell.
Are you trying to claim an assist on this then? That without your comments a few years ago, Dockrell might not be doing this. Parnell is in. He's I think he thought it was going to be a bit wider than it actually was from Parnell there. It was sort of that flat batted attempted mow. It goes down to Markram at long off, and they will take a single to end 14 overs. 141 for 5. So it's 71 from 36 balls. That's the equation here on talkSPORT 2. Don't forget Premier League football this weekend. 3 live and exclusive commentaries for you on the talkSPORT network. We start with Crystal Palace Arsenal on Friday night. That's on talkSPORT. And there's also Spurs against Southampton on talkSPORT 2 this weekend. So get your DAB radio fired up. Get the preset set for talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2. Or you can get the app and simply swipe left or right between talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2. Choose which station you want to listen to.
What's your team, Macca?
My team is Notts County. It took us quite a long time, but we've managed to plumb the depths into the National League. It makes my life so much more infused and entertained as Nottingham Forest finally get themselves back organised and into the Premier League. It gives me so much joy for that to happen.
I can really hear that in your voice, yeah.
And Geedy for his 3rd over. He's 2 for 23 so far. And he starts with a short one. Dockrell, it's a slower ball that he's had to adjust and ends up just sort of paddling it around to square leg. Fortunately, it lands short of the 2 fielders converging in on it. And it will be just a single, 142 for 5.
Yeah, it's the tactic we saw from that end, didn't we, in the first innings with Barry McCarthy bowling slow and into the wicket with that longer boundary on the leg side. So I think the Irish boys will be aware of what his plan generally is going to be. It's going to be interesting to see how they try and counteract that, whether they keep trying to hit it with no pace on it over that leg side.
Dot ball from Ngidi, pace off, just gripped in the surface, bounced a little bit. Tucker not able to get anything on it. It did take Quinton de Kock off of his feet, because I think he just wasn't expecting it. He bounced for a second time. Quinton de Kock was like a First World War film then. It was very dramatic.
He almost fell back onto the helmet. Would that have been 5 runs if he's holding the ball and some part of his body goes back onto the helmet?
I'd almost find him 5 runs for terrible acting. I'm not entirely sure what he was doing. Right, third is going back onto the boundaries. A fine leg is coming up. Tucker is 58 not out, and he's pulled the pin on that one. He's absolutely tried to flay that through the offside, and Ngidi has done him with the slower ball outside of off stump. 70 needed from 33. Quinton de Kock takes that one safely enough.
Yeah, it's good bowling, isn't it? It's, as we've spoken about, I think every ball this over has been pace off, knowing that he's got that long leg side boundary to play with. So, showing his experience here, and Ngidi's obviously a very fine international bowler. So Tucker's just got to find a way of perhaps, running 2s into that leg side. Might be tricky trying to hit the boundary and sort of this over, and then maybe go to the shorter side next over.
Ngidi in. It is pulled into the leg side, and it might be the longer side, but the ball goes crashing into the advertising hoarding for a 4, and Tucker goes to 62. The Irish aren't giving this one away just yet. 146 for 5.
Or just whack it for 4 the long side. That's the other option. Fine shot, again, pace off and into the wicket, but Tucker's seeing the ball so well. Gets a really good connection on that one again. He watched that one all the way, which the other ones that he missed perhaps took his eye off at the last second. But another fine shot.
Ngidi outside of off stump again. It's slower ball, no real time as it goes to Maharaj on the edge of the circle at extra cover. Single taken, 147 for 5, and 5 balls of the over, 4 of them off speed. The one that wasn't was the one that disappeared away for 4. That was 130 k's an hour. The others from Ngidi, 112, 113 and 112. And a 108, as well. Dockrell waits. He's had to wait on that one. He's tugged it down towards long on. It'll land short of Markram running in off of the boundary, and will be a single. 148 for 5. So that's the 15 overs. Gone, 148 for 5 after 15 overs. South Africa 146, so 2 runs different, but for 2. That's the significant one. Can Ireland get up and win this? They need 64 from 30 balls here on talkSPORT 2. Tim Murtagh and myself will move out of the way, because Jared Kimber and Neil Manthorpe are coming in to take you home on the rest of this game here on talkSPORT 2.
Thank you very much indeed, Macca. It's still very much game on, and it's not about the runs per over required, it's about can they produce an over of 20, 22, because that changes everything. Suddenly one of those and you're down to a far more manageable 9 and over, as opposed to the 12.5 required at the moment. Dwayne Pretorius begins the 16th over. Slapped by George Dockrell out towards extra cover. It will be intercepted by the cover sweeper Tristan Stubbs, and they go through for 2. But I don't know what statistically the likelihood of victory is from here. Take out the emotion of it being Ireland against South Africa and all of that kind of thing. Jared Kimber, you would have far more of an idea than I would, but statistically from a position like this, with a team with a couple of hitters to come, I think they would probably fancy their chances. Pretorius gets away with one. He goes for the wide Yorker. That's his speciality. That's his best ball, the wide Yorker. But it was slightly too full, and it was a full toss, and it's missed by George Dockrell as he looks to slap it through the offside.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's 62 off 28, so it looks mathematically stupid. But it really is the amount of boundaries you can hit off those 28 balls, and they'll be looking at, 10?
Another low, wide, full toss from Dwayne Pretorius, as I said, that's what he bowls. That's his speciality delivery, and it's driven on the full out to Stubbs once again, sweeping on the cover boundary. I see the winometer is currently giving us Ireland 46%, South Africa 54%. Is that right?
Have you made that up?
No, I'm just reading it wrong. Ireland 10.4%, yes. South Africa 89.
I mean, the one I was looking at was a little different to yours, so I thought, everyone runs their win predictors in a separate way. But yeah, that's the one on the Crick Info at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Here's Pretorius, gets the wide Yorker wrong again. It's wide, that bit was right, but it's a shin-high full toss, and it's only driven down towards Markram at long off.
My guess is, Manners, that part of that is the fact that Ngidi and Shamsi have an over left each. And so they're thinking that is part of the reason. But if they can take down one of those overs for 15 or 20, then everything's a bit different.
Does the winometer take that personal detail into consideration? It's not just a numbers thing.
No, it does depend on who's made it and how accurate it is. But yes, in general, it should take that on. It will also work out who's coming into bat next. So if there was a wicket now, they're probably thinking that's a bit early for McBride or Adair to come in. But
I like wicket. Mark Adair in next. Tell you what, that one is also wide and full. Pretorius has reverted to his strength here. He's not deviating from it. Wide Yorkers is what he's after. That's what his feel tells us he's bowling. And again, he doesn't get it quite right, but it's good enough to keep the batsman down to a single. They, of course, all the batters know exactly what his speciality is. They know that that's what he bowls best. And so they're all stepping, or both of them, not all of them, both of the two out there in the middle, they're both taking a step out towards the offside. Oh, it's a no ball. It's a no ball. With Rolly Black has had it confirmed to him by the third umpire. Tight call. Very tight call. Did he have part of the heel on his on the line? Anyway, it's a free hit. Here we go. Here's Dwayne Pretorius. Full toss. Slapped out towards cover. Ngidi, I think, probably could have caught it. Maybe I'm flattering his fielding skills. But he knew what the situation was and he allowed it to bounce. And because the catch would have had no relevance or consequence. And they take a single. 154 for 5.
Probably did well to keep that to 1, didn't he?
He probably did. Yeah. I mean, he's without being disparaging, he's the fielder who you would take on. Oh, Pretorius gets it wrong again. It's another wide outside the off stump, and he knows it. He's bowling the same delivery all the time here because it's the ball that he bowls best, and but he's bowling it all the time. It's it's overdoing, over-egging the pudding, a bit like Ngidi does with the slower balls. But Pretorius has got that horrendously wrong. That wasn't past the blue line, the guide mark. That was wide.
Test match wide.
Test match wide. That's right. Low full toss, bowls it straighter. That's much better, and it's clipped out towards mid wicket. It's gone straight to the fielder, who's substitute, Riley Rousseau. I think he's on to Keshav Maharaj, the stand-in captain, which I don't know who would be. I don't know who the vice captain is, but it's a single, and Ireland, with 4 overs to go, require 57. Actually, for all the wides and the no ball, that wasn't a bad result for Dwayne Pretorius that over. Just 9 from it.
Yeah, I think. When you're bowling the wide, well, not quite the death, but certainly approaching the death, early death, which is always the worst kind of death, man. When you're doing that, you kind of factor in that there's going to be a couple of wides if you're going for that wide line, right? That has to be part of it. And so what you're trying to do is say, well, if I keep it out of their hitting zone, they'll eventually make a mistake. And it looks messy and ugly, and I've heard people say that perhaps there should be 2 runs given for a wide. I won't say that in front of Tim because he'd probably be more upset. But because bowlers are bowling intentional wides now, and it's a weird part of T20 cricket, but it's a good strategy for a lot of bowlers.
You'll have to explain that. if you've got time. Here's Shamsi, and begins a new over, and he's pitched it full and straight, and it's driven down the ground, and they want to come back for 2, but they can't because it's gone straight to Aiden Markram, who's one of the best long straight fielders in the game, both with his speed and the power of his throw. How does it benefit the bowling team bowling deliberate wides if you just have to bowl the ball again?
Because it is very hard to hit from a power position if the ball is slow, wide, full, anything like that. It's out of your natural arc. And also, to get over there, you're probably going to have to move quite a bit, which means your head might not be as still. And so you're willing to give up a couple of those to hope that they miss some and sky some.
Down the wicket comes Lorcan Tucker. Gosh, he's still batting beautifully, and he's tucked it away sweetly out towards deep mid-wicket. That's just such clever batting. Ireland need 2 a ball. They're not going to get 2 a ball because they will need a boundary. There will be some dots along the way, but that is just really skillful batting, clever batting from Lorcan Tucker. Went down the wicket to Shamsi, realised he couldn't hit it for 4, and then tucked it into a gap so that he could come back for 2. That's very, very... Take it deep, Ireland. Give yourselves a chance. Even a slim chance is better than no chance. And a slog sweep once again. And Tristan Stubbs cuts it off, but it's 2 more at deep mid-wicket. That's it. Keep going. If you can't hit boundaries, take 2 and over.
A 2 a ball. Maybe 2 and over much trouble.
Is 2 a ball.
Is Stubbs a wicket-keeper normally?
Hasn't been for 2 years, but
he was,
yeah.
Wasn't he? Yeah. He moves quite well for a wicket-keeper in the outfield.
He's one of those
more, Josh Butler,
A.B. de Villiers characters. He plays guitar as well. Down the wicket, slow, driven beautifully over long on, just over the head of Aiden Markram for 6. Anything can happen. You get into the last 3 overs, and I know that Ireland still need 14 and over, 13 and a half and over. But over the course of 3 overs, that is eminently possible. That is a terrific strike.
Yeah, they definitely... I know the 2s were great, and it's good cricket, and it's great to highlight them, but they needed a boundary off Shamsi here. They needed this over to go for over 10, and now they've guaranteed that, and they've given themselves a couple of hits if they want to make it even more.
Short from Shamsi, pulled down towards long on, it's beaten long on, it's a 1 bounce 4. 15 off the over with a ball to come. Ireland 170 for 5. How's that win predictor looking now?
Yeah, I think the big thing here is I said earlier that Shamsi was the difference, or could be the difference between the 2 sides. The first part of his spell, he completely dominated. Second part of his spell, he's been taken down now, and this is a good amount of runs off him.
37 with the ball to come, and he's gone for a sweep, and he's top-edged it up into the air, and Quinton de Kock grabs it at the second attempt. The first was too easy. It squirmed out of his gloves like a live fish, but he caught it as it squirmed up into the air a second time. Oh my goodness, what a drop that would have been from Quinton de Kock. It was as simple as a catch as you could get it, and he had to move 3 yards behind him, and it was just too easy. And he managed to catch as it popped out of his gloves. And suddenly, end of a very, very fine and memorable innings. But is it going to be, as Lorcan Tucker departs for 78, another question in this Irish summer of international cricket? A question or a case of so close but no cigar.
Look, it's a magnificent knock, and Mark Adair's come in. We'll talk about the tactics behind that in a moment. But it's a brilliant knock. They went after Shamsi, and he's got 10 runs off the last couple of balls there. It's a shame that they lost the wicket, but it was a good choice to do that because they were getting a wrist spinner spinning the ball back into them. They had a chance of going for it. Brilliant batting all the way through. He's kept them in it. For Ireland, it's just a case now of they've been so close so many times. Someone has to finally drag them over. Mark Adair comes out, can hit.
Well, he made 32 off 10 balls against New Zealand.
And he's not going to have to do it against the wrist spinner anymore. Wrist spinner's gone. He's got seamers now. So we know he has that in him. And Dockrell, we saw Dockrell hook, swat, whatever you want to call a bouncer for 6 before over long on. They've got the hitting power out there now, and they're close enough. And they don't have to worry about Shamsi anymore.
I like Ireland's chances with Mark Adair there. It's 3 overs. There's not too much room or time for thinking, just room and time for hitting. Down the ground against Dwayne Pretorius. What a catch! What an absolutely brilliant catch from Aiden Markram. Dwayne Pretorius has bowled the wide, low full toss. And now Dockrell has gone. A ball after the departure of Lorcan Tucker. And Ireland's form prospects have fluctuated as dramatically as they can in the space of 2 balls. I mean, they've gone from almost no chance to a very realistic chance to once again an extremely slim chance. Both men have departed. Lorcan Tucker for 78, George Dockrell now for 43.
It just feels like that's the story of Ireland's summer, isn't it? The minute you think they're going to do something quite well, they lose another wicket, or they get a partnership gets away from them. He's missed that ball on length and on line. He was going for the wide Yorker, I assume, and he's ended up with a knee-high, maybe even higher full toss outside off stump, right in the arc. Should have probably been, it's the sort of ball that Dockrell, we've seen him hit so many sixes from those sorts of balls before. This time just gets the wrong part of his bat, hits it straight to mid-off, long off, and of course, on top of that, it's a very good diving catch to complete it as well. So everything going against Ireland in that particular delivery, and now you've got 2 guys who have not faced the ball yet, out in the middle.
Oh, dear me. 2 established batsmen. I mean, here's Dwayne Pretorius, bowls. This, again, I mean, he's looking for that wide Yorker. That's what he does. I'm quite astonished. I'm used to seeing him bowl 4 and over of those, but he's trying to bowl 6 and missing most of them, to be honest. Murtagh knew exactly what he was going to bowl. He stepped wide outside the off stump. Pretorius went even wider. In the end, he ended up running it down to short third. Extraordinary. But Dwayne Pretorius 1 for 40. Just 2 balls into his 4th and final over. 41 runs needed from 16 balls. It's looking unlikely now, suddenly. Andy McBride about to face his first delivery. Murtagh has 1 off 1, and here is Dwayne Pretorius. Now, bowls, you can't be bowling wide Yorkers to the left-hander, and McBride chips it down to Markram at long on, and they all know which fielders are in which positions, and they're never going to risk a second.
That was very slow delivery as well. He put everyone out, and I think that McBride thought a bouncer was coming. He's ended up just chipping that ball out to... they must have 4 guys out on the leg side, I would assume, because I think they had deep cover out for him. So it's a very slow delivery.
Pretorius in once again, and he goes wide of the off stump once again, and Murtagh walks outside the off stump as well. And in the end, doesn't know what to do with the ball, tries to run it down to third, and the umpire makes a V for victory sign to somebody.
Yeah, he's got away with that just because it's hit the cut strip, and it's barely hit the cut strip.
What was the umpire signalling 2 of? 2 to go. Oh, sorry, how many balls to go? 2. Right, okay. Here is Pretorius once again, and wide, low, full toss, and dragged down towards long on, and again they consider the second. But the problem with running 2s, when the ball goes straight to long on and long off, Maharaj is back on the field now, and he does the fielding, is that the boundary, the straight boundaries are so short that if you do happen to mistime it, mid on, long on and long off are in so quickly, gather so quickly, that the second run is almost never a realistic possibility. But 13 balls left, 39 to win. Looks like South Africa have got this game by the scruff of the neck now. Short ball from Pretorius. He finally comes up with a variation, and it's pulled but not timed by Andy McBride, and the fact that it's not pulled, not timed, allows them to come back for 2. So now 2 overs to go, 37 runs required from them, and for the first time I can't see a way.
If you, Neil Manthorpe, can't see a way. Maybe the most optimistic man I've ever met.
Even using alternative vision and the imagination for which I am known, I can't see it happening. Can you?
It was directed by Christopher Nolan. Yeah, look, it looks a long way away here. Adair can still 37 off 12 is something within his wheelhouse. My bigger problem is if McBride faces too many. I think if he was set, he could hit a few, but him trying to hit from first ball is going to be a problem. And also, you've got Ngidi bowling as well, which is not particularly easy to hit.
Well, like Dwayne Pretorius, you know what he's going to be bowling. Slow off cutters. Set yourself. Oh, he's had a swing at that one, and Markadare, you've got to have a plan, haven't you? And that was just a wild swing. And
that's
it was
a wide.
Was it called wide?
No,
I think it was.
I'm calling it a wide.
Yeah, well, I concur.
Because I think he thought the batter went across the crease, but his foot was on the stumps. That was definitely a wide. That's a bad call by the umpire.
And Guidi's going to bowl, you'd know he's going to bowl 5 slower deliveries, and quite possibly all 6. Pace off. You watch. Here he is once again, and there's another slower ball, and he's bowled him. Well, Markadare has either forgotten the advice of the analyst, or he's ignored it, because he's just had 2 wild swings at slow. And yes, Ngidi disguises his slower balls very well. His little cutters, and he doesn't bowl a knuckleball, but he bowls what I call a motionless delivery that neither reverse rotates or. But anyway, you know the pace will be off with Ngidi in the closing overs. You know it, and you know that he's going to disguise it well, and you may not necessarily pick it, but back it on the evidence of the analyst, and that's exactly what he has not done, and he's swung at a slower ball and been bowled.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, that was a very good ball. I think it might have dipped a lot on him, and it seemed to have spun off the wicket. So it's a good delivery on top of everything else, but he was completely out of his shape a little bit there, wasn't he? In fact, look, he's not a top order player. We know he can hit very well, but despite what the TV prompter said earlier, he's probably not an all-rounder. He's probably a very good hitter at the end, and it means he's going to miss sometimes as well.
Here's Ngidi, another slow ball. You know that they're all going to be slow at this stage, and it's heaved by new batsman Barry McCarthy out towards deep mid-wicket for a single.
This is going to test your theory, because I think I would bowl pace on to Andy McBride and short and at his body. I'd put all the fielders out on the leg side.
Except that,
he won't. He'll bowl the slow ball.
Except he won't.
Yeah,
that's
what I'm saying. That will test your theory of whether he's just decided for the rest of his life he's going to bowl these. Well,
until people start working it out.
Spin. Yeah.
I mean, the point is that 5.5 or 6 slower balls and over in the. Apparently, we're not supposed to call them death overs anymore. Have you noticed IPL commentators call them slog overs now? Because apparently death overs is morbid. Yeah. Good shot. What a wonderful pickup from Andy McBride, and he's hit a 6. There you go. He knew the slower ball was coming. He waited. He kept his shape, and he's just picked it up over deep mid-wicket for 6. There you go. That's what Markadare should have been doing. I know it's easy from the commentary box. I average 60 with a strike rate of 220 up here.
Yeah, you should hit more 6s when you get a chance. I think someone shelled that in the crowd, by the way, with a very nice retro, maybe 2007-ish Irish shirt as well. That's why I thought he should have gone fast. Don't give him a chance. He's quite good against, swinging across the line.
182 for 8. 30 required off 8 balls. Short and pulled. This time he picks out the fielder. Rassie from Dussen on the deep mid-wicket boundary, and it's only a single. So whoever South Africa have got lined up to bowl the final over,
Parnell,
they know that they will have at least 23. Wayne Parnell, I would think.
Yeah. It'd be, unless you want to give Aiden Markram an over. Just for fun.
Who's your favourite bowler of the slower ball Yorker in T20 cricket at the moment, Jared?
It's probably still Dwayne Bravo, isn't it? Oh, actually, no, it'd probably be, what's his name?
Here's Ngidi, bowls the last ball of the 19th over, and it's a slower one, pace off, pulled out towards Clarkson. Deep mid-wicket, he's going to be run out! He was coming back for the second, and McBride sent him back. McCarthy sent him back, beg your pardon. Barry McCarthy said no to the second run. McBride had to be there to have any chance. He needed to be there. It might be a tall order to hope that Josh Little can make 26 off the last over, but good throw from Heinrich Klaassen. He kept his cool. Not that he had to put a powerful throw in, and he didn't. Just had to be accurate, because Andy McBride was halfway down the pitch, And that's unfortunate because it's the last ball of the 19th over and 28 runs are required from the last over. And I'm not suggesting that Andy McBride was the man to win the game for Ireland. But, it's ended in another situation where Ireland will finish up with an entirely presentable score. It's been an engaging and an absorbing and at times realistic run chase, but it's going to end with nil point again.
It's been a really interesting year for them. The West Indies series last year, losing to the USA, really struggling in the World Cup, and then all this cricket at home, televised, talkSPORT 2, the whole kit and caboodle.
Here is Wayne Parnell, bowls wide-ish Yorker length delivery outside the off stump, which Barry McCarthy has a waft at but makes no contact. So I think they beat the West Indies, didn't they?
They beat the West Indies in the West Indies. So there's been a lot of good cricket. I think if you're an Irish fan, you'd be thinking there's a lot of good cricket, but maybe they'd prefer less good cricket and more wins, if that makes sense. Couple of games where they just got slapped around, but a couple of games where they just got over the line. And I think it's just getting frustrating now for the Irish faithful.
Here is Wayne Parnell. He's bowls exactly the same ball with exactly the same result. Wide-ish Yorker length delivery outside the off stump, swing and a miss from the batsman. 28 now needed off 4 balls. So Wayne Parnell is now in the luxurious position of knowing that as long as he doesn't bowl a no ball or a wide, Ireland can't win.
He's wondering why for the number 10 he had a backward square leg and a short fine leg. I think someone was in the wrong spot. Was supposed to be at short third.
And it took him 2 balls to realise it. Here is Parnell once again, and he goes even wider, full, same length, Yorker length, outside the off stump, and it must have been close, but it's not called a wide. So he begins the final over with 3 dot balls, does Wayne Parnell. We've all seen it, haven't we, when the bowler realises he doesn't have a third in the closing overs.
Yeah, also just a brilliant stuff that he realised that after he bowled a couple, but was still that furious at everyone else. That should have been a wide. That ball obviously bounced outside the wide line.
I agree again. Here is Parnell once more. He bowls a 4th dot ball in a row here. Again, he's bowled, hit the length, 4 consecutive deliveries, Yorker length. This time it was just inside the wide guideline, and but it's 4 dot balls from Wayne Parnell to finish off. And fair enough to the number 10, but you know what? You've still got to bowl the right ball, and he's I reckon he's at 90% for these first 4 deliveries. Ireland need 28 to win from the last 2 balls. Here is Parnell once again. He bowls 5 identical deliveries. This time McCarthy uses his feet and charges and still misses it.
Yeah, he used his feet a little bit like he'd never thought about how to use his feet, didn't he? He was moving.
He stumbled towards the ball.
He was moving. And also at the last minute he went, what shot should I play? I think they got a slip. I thought Ngidi was going to come up to slip then just for a gag, but he's moved back.
Well, they've got 2 short thirds. 2 slips on the edge of the circle. And he has now hit the ball. He's made contact, and he's made contact well enough to hit it for 6. And there's a wonderfully, and I think, generous and also, I suppose, ironic cheer from the crowd that he finally hit one. Having not made contact with the first 5 deliveries, he's hit a consolation 6 off the final ball of the match to leave Ireland on 190 for 9, South Africa winning by 21 runs. So, again, much to admire. Lorcan Tucker was brilliant for Ireland. Really, really impressive. Harry Tector and Paul Stirling, the other, I suppose, big names in the batting order, didn't come to the party. George Dockrell made 43. And again, a massively creditable performance from the Irish. But as Captain Andy Balbirnie said yesterday in his build-up to these 2 matches, we're tired of getting close. We're in the results business, and results is what we need. Not people saying, oh, well tried, well played. We want to win. And that hasn't happened. And I shall leave you for our last 6 or 7 minutes with final thoughts from Jarrod Kimber for the moment, and then Tim Murtagh and Andrew McKenna.
Yeah, sick and tired of the moral victories, and there were moments again in this game where I thought they played quite well, and there were moments when I didn't think they did. So I still believe South Africa were probably quite a few runs short, and they got themselves ahead of that chase and then lost 3 wickets from, I wouldn't say from 3 particularly good balls, and allowed these South African spinners to take a big chunk out of their batting lineup, and that's essentially why they've ended up short at the end. There wasn't that they didn't have the talent. They batted all the way down to or they could hit all the way down to number 9. They probably had a longer batting lineup than South Africa, but losing 3 wickets at 3 overs in the middle overs when you're ahead of the game probably at that point, or at least close to par, is terrible, and it seems to be that it's been Ireland's entire summer, as far as I could tell. Andrew McKenna.
Yeah, absolutely. It's another one that's got away from them. South Africa winning by 21 runs. South Africa posting 211 for 5. As Hendricks made 74 from 53. Aiden Markram also weighing in with a 50, 56 from 27. Ireland in reply, 190 for 9. Lorcan Tucker, 78 from 38. George Dockrell, the other significant contribution, 43 from 28 balls. And unfortunately, Ireland come up short once again. Tim Murtagh is joining us in the commentary box again. First of all, a good game of cricket, actually. A good game of T20 cricket. Bristol seems to be the place at the moment, if you like your runs anyway.
Yeah, really good game. I think sort of that's the kind of template you want to see T20 cricket be played on. A really good pitch down at Bristol. In the Irish bowling innings, if you can take 2 boundary balls out of those 120 balls bowled, and then sort of 2 more balls in the batting innings, that's how close they came. So as we've been saying, a valiant effort, but ultimately just come up just short. But I think they can be proud of what they've done, and I think it leads to a really interesting game on Friday. I think sort of from a South African point of view, the Irish have run them a bit too close for their liking there, and I'm sure they'll want to improve in a few areas for the second match on Friday as well.
I mean, absolutely. We mentioned before the game that South Africa are really quite good at this form of the game at the moment. Earlier on they'd won 13 of the last 14 games. Yes, they've got a few slightly different names in this, but they're a well-organised machine. They know what they're doing, and there were a few things, we talk about controlling the controllables. That's that ridiculous phrase that coaches and sports psychologists use and all of that. But actually, if Ireland, we mentioned this at half-time with Jarrod, there may be 15 deliveries there from Ireland that actually, if half of those don't disappear to the boundary, they've lost the game by 21 runs. It's little things. It's those 1%ers, to use another coaching cliche, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you think back to the start of the Irish bowling innings, and Josh Little didn't get it quite right, did he? To Hendricks, gave him some width early on, which got his innings off and running, and it's quite unusual for Josh. He's pretty good in those first couple of overs. So yeah, they'll sit down, they'll digest, they'll have a meeting tomorrow. They'll sit down with the analyst, and they'll sit down with the specialist coaches, and just work out what they can improve for Friday, because as I said, sort of there's not too much difference between the two sides tonight. It's just those small margins which ultimately in T20 cricket end up sort of costing you or winning you the game. So yeah, a lot of positives, but again, didn't quite get over the line tonight.
Tim, thank you very much for your company. Really enjoyed it this evening. So that is the first of 2 games. The second coming your way on Friday. We'll be back on air at 6 o'clock on talkSPORT 2.
Oh, that slap driven over extra cover for 6.
Oh, outside edge! Evander Dussen is caught at short third. And McBride has a big one.
Pick up from Markram, steps out to the offside and launches it over deep mid-wicket and out of the ground.
It's gone into the playground, so that might be a souvenir for someone, some kid when they come back from their summer holidays. They might find a white kookaburra.
He's at non-strikers end. Oh, they got back to that wicket and they've got Hendricks caught at point by Stirling. And South Africa have posted 211 for 5. Balbirnie's got himself in a horrible tangle. He spooned this one up and it'll be taken by Pretorius at mid-on. 43 for 1. Stirling's hit in front of them on the pads and umpire Saggers raises the figure for LBW. He's in once again is Parnell and Tucker has put him back over his head for a maximum.
Sweep shot, pick up, sweep shot, hit very nicely indeed over backward square leg over the head of Rassie van der Dussen. Yashab Maharaj into the attack and it's immediately slapped to extra cover and caught by Dwayne Pretorius. Here is bowled him, hit the top of off stump, cut, backs away, does Curtis Campher. Sweep shot once more from Gareth Delaney. All up goes the finger. I thought it might have pitched outside leg stump.
He's round the wicket, but he's served up an off stump half volley and Tucker is down the pitch, launching it for 6 over mid-off. And it's his 50.
He's gone for a sweep and he's top-edged it up into the air and Quinton de Kock grabs it at the second attempt. The first was too easy. Down the ground against Dwayne Pretorius. What a catch! What an absolutely brilliant catch from Aiden Markram. Dwayne Pretorius has bowled the wide, low full toss. You watch, here he is once again, and there's another slower ball, and he's bowled him. 2 slips on the edge of the circle. And he has now hit the ball. He's made contact, and he's made contact well enough to hit it for 6. South Africa winning by 21 runs.
Game day. The goals are calling.
This Saturday.
Exclusive full match commentary of Spurs versus Southampton.
Coverage from 2:30. Kick-off 3 p.m.
on talkSPORT 2.
You're listening to the Cricket Collective here on talkSPORT 2 with me, Neil Manthorpe, and as always, former England fast bowler Steve Harmison. We'll look back at England's T20 series defeat to South Africa and ask, when does a blip suddenly become cause for concern? Derbyshire head of cricket Mickey Arthur joins us to look back on his first few months in the role, and we'll take a look at some of the current stories in the game. We'll also build up to the start of the 100 and hear Southern Brave captains James Vince and Anya Shrubsole, Welsh Fire batter Johnny Bairstow and the competition's managing director Sanjay Patel. So plenty to come over the next hour. You're listening to the Cricket Collective here on talkSPORT 2. Well, I tell you what, England began the white ball section of their summer with a huge amount of credit in the bank. And when they lost to India, there weren't any real concerns. As I said, they're World Cup champions. They had lots and lots of credit in the bank. But there's been a run on that bank now after losing to South Africa. And it wasn't just the nature of the T20 losses to South Africa, but going down by 58 runs and 90 runs in the last 2 games. And suddenly a lot of that credit has been used up. And there do seem to be real concerns. Jason Roy, for example, 76 runs from 98 balls from one of the most destructive batters in the game. I don't know, Harmy, how do you feel? Is there a problem?
I don't know, to be honest. I really can't get my head around where you sit with this. The way the sort of bilateral series work. Is there any emphasis on it when it comes to tournament play? I think there will be a concern over Jason Roy. It has to be because of the numbers that we're talking about, but I have him in my team. I still think he's one of the best 11 players to go out there and represent England. Let's not underestimate what the loss of Owen Morgan was. And this is not anything against Josh, because I think Josh is going to be a fine captain. But to lose a leader like Owen Morgan and then obviously not having the likes of Ben Stokes to call upon, one of your premier fast bowlers is injured, then all of a sudden it's a different ball game. And when it comes, and that's what I mean by comes to tournament play, probably Stokes will be fit to play and be in net, and then another fast bowler. England become a different side or a better side. But I think Morgan is huge. He's a huge loss for English cricket. And I think a lot of people would still have expected Morgan to be playing. So that, a couple of, just little things, one-day cricket, off the back of the way we had played test match cricket, to come down off that. I think Jason Roy, if you stick with him, you tell him that he's going to be playing the World T20. I think he will come good in that tournament. South Africa look a good side, as they always do. But when it comes to what I thought of England, I think when you change your captain like Owen Morgan, I think there has to be a knock-on effect, and I think we've had that knock-on effect.
Riley Rousseau's an interesting character and an interesting story, Harvey. Of all the players who signed Kolpak contracts from South Africa, he seemed the least likely to return, given the nature of his departure. He was backed enormously by the South African, the Proteas management, head coach at the time, Russell Domingo. He made 5 noughts in his first 10 international innings, and he announced his long-term contract with Hampshire to the coach via a text message. He burnt bridges pretty thoroughly, but I have to say, time heals most things, and it certainly heals broken bridges. And he's looked like a massive addition to the South African team. He looked very impressive in that series.
He did, and it just shows you what preparation. If you go into a tournament, you go into a series, you go test matches, underprepared and always trying to fight to get ready for that first game. You don't have the series that your potential or your set has in your powers. But when you have a series like Rousseau had and Riley Rousseau had in the T20 Blast, put his team to finals there, then all of a sudden you're going to walk into the international arena with seeing it like football the way he did, and he's bounced into this series very, very well, and he wasn't the only one. I think young Stubbs, that the cleanest six-hitter I've seen at the sort of depth and lower order since possibly Luzner. No matter where you put the ball, he had an answer to hit it for 6. So there's some good signs for South Africa. And in Riley Rousseau, I think the time with Somerset has stood him in good stead to sort of take on England. And like you say, the bridges that he burnt, he would have been under pressure, and he probably would have felt under pressure to perform. And his calendar into this series against England has worked for him, and the pressure that he was under, he stood up to it very, very well.
Okay, there's a theme developing in T20 cricket now, isn't there, with speculation being reinforced with various articles in the media all the time. The Telegraph was the latest to carry the story that very soon IPL teams will take over the world of cricket. They will contract players, the best players, for 12 months. They'll play in various T20 leagues around the world. They'll be released to play in ICC windows for their countries. And adding fuel to that speculation is the establishment, of course, of the new league in South Africa, with 6 teams bought by IPL teams. The latest to confirm his involvement in the new South African league, which starts in January, is Liam Livingstone, and this is what he had to say.
Yeah, it's exciting. We're getting opportunities to travel around the world and play in these in new leagues, and I guess different conditions. It's great for us. We're going to have to go and play international cricket in South Africa in January, and some of the lads are going to get experience of playing in South Africa for a few games before that, which I think is perfect for us as a team. But yeah, like I said, we're getting to travel around the world and compete in different franchise leagues in conditions that we're going to have to go with England and win games of cricket. So just the same as the IPL, we go to India, we get to experience their conditions, which is going to help us next year in the World Cup. So yeah, like I said, it's great fun at the moment. We're getting lots of opportunity to travel the world doing something we love, which is great.
That's Liam Livingstone confirming that he's just one of several players who are going to be playing in South Africa, along with Jos Buttler and Moeen Ali, I think, are the other 2 who've been confirmed as going to South Africa. It's an interesting story that is developing, Harmy. The IPL franchises have more money than anybody else, and I guess money talks.
Yeah, money does talk, and I think we mentioned it last week on the show, Manners, before these newspaper articles come out. We're saying that international cricket could look like international football very, very soon, where players are sort of loaned back to international teams for small windows, and then they'll be utilised in such a way where they'll be playing around the world in these big, short format